The House will come to order. Prayer by the chaplain.
Creator of the universe, the great healer, the ruler over all of earth and those who inhabit it, mighty and powerful God, who appoints all leaders and have called us to this work today, we pause and turn to you. Fill this room with your presence, cast out the enemy. Father, myself, your believers, the state, and our nation have lost sight of you and your authority over us. We have tried to do things under our own power and have failed you. For that we are sorry and ask for your forgiveness. Revive us, O Lord. Breathe fresh wind and fresh fire into us all. We come to you humbly today and ask for your wisdom, guidance, and protection. Let our words be true and not from our own power, but yours. We know that through you all things are possible. Fill us with your Spirit. Speak wisdom and discernment to us today. Come into the presence of those who may not know you and show them your love, peace, comfort, and joy. You alone are God. You are our rock, our shield, our comforter, and our protector. May this be your house today and forever. Amen.
The chaplain for today is Representative Tim Miller, District 17A, Princeburg, Minnesota. Pledge of Allegiance. Please remain standing and recite the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. The clerk will take the roll.
Acom.
Acom, St. Paul, present.
Acom, St. Paul, present. Albright.
Albright, Prior Lake, present.
Albright, Prior Lake, present. Anderson.
Anderson, Barsness Township, present.
Anderson, Barsness Township, present. Backer.
Backer, Browns Valley, present.
Backer, Browns Valley, present. Bonner.
Bonner, St. Paul, present.
Bonner, St. Paul, present. Barr. Barr, St. Paul, present. Baker.
Baker, Wilmer, present.
Baker, Wilmer, present. Becker, Finn.
Becker Finn, St. Paul, present.
Becker, Finn, St. Paul, present. Bennett.
Bennett, Albert Lee, present.
Bennett, Albert Lee, present. Bernardi.
Bernardi, St. Paul, present.
Bernardi, St. Paul, present. Bierman.
Bierman, St. Paul, present.
Bierman, St. Paul, present. Bow.
Bow, St. Paul, present.
Bow, St. Paul, present. Brand.
Brand, St. Paul, present.
Brand, St. Paul, present. Cantrell.
Cantrell, St. Paul, present.
Cantrell, St. Paul, present. Carlson A.
Carlson A, St. Paul, present.
Carlson A, St. Paul, present. Carlson L.
Carlson L, St. Paul, present.
Carlson L, St. Paul, present. Christensen.
Christensen, St. Paul, present.
Christensen, St. Paul, present. Claflin.
Claflin, St. Paul, present.
Claflin, St. Paul, present. Considine.
Considine, Mankato, present.
Considine, Mankato, present. Daniels.
Daniels, Faribault, present.
Daniels, Faribault, present. Doubt. Doubt. Davids. David, St. Paul, present. Davney.
Dabney, St. Paul, present.
Davney, St. Paul, present. Dean.
Dean, St. Paul, present.
Dean, St. Paul, present. Damuth.
Damuth, Cold Spring, present.
Damuth, Cold Spring, present. Detmer. Detmer, St. Paul, present. Drazkowski.
Gruskowski, Winona, present.
Drazkowski, Winona, present. Eklund.
Eklund, St. Paul, present.
Eklund, St. Paul, present. Edelson.
Edelson, St. Paul, present.
Edelson, St. Paul, present. Elkins.
Elkins, St. Paul, present.
Elkins, St. Paul, present. Erickson. Erickson, St. Paul, present. Fabian.
Fabian Rozo, present.
Fabian Rozo, present. Fisher.
Fisher, St. Paul, present.
Fisher, St. Paul, present. Franzen.
Franson, Alexandria Township, present.
Franzen, Alexandria Township, present. Freiberg. Freiberg, St. Paul, present. Garofalo. Garofalo. Gomez.
Gomez, St. Paul, present.
Gomez, St. Paul, present. Green. Green, St. Paul, present. Grossel.
Grossel, Clearbrook, present.
Grossel, Clearbrook, present. Gruenhagen.
Gruenhagen, Glencoe, present.
Gruenhagen, Glencoe, present. Gunther.
Gunther, Fairmont, present.
Gunther, Fairmount, present. Haley. Haley.
Lee, Red Wing, present.
Haley, Red Wing, present. Halverson.
Halverson, St. Paul, present.
Halverson, St. Paul, present. Hamilton.
Hamilton, Mountain Lake, present.
Hamilton, Mountain Lake, present. Hanson.
Hanson, St. Paul, present.
Hanson, St. Paul, present. Hassan.
Hassan, Minneapolis, present.
Hassan, Minneapolis, present. Hausman.
Hausman, St. Paul, present.
Hausman, St. Paul, present. Heinrich.
Heinrich, Anoka, present.
Heinrich, Anoka, present. Heinzman. Heinzman. Her.
Her, St. Paul, present.
Her, St. Paul, present. Hertos.
Hertos, Greenfield, present.
Hertos, Greenfield, present. Hornstein.
Hornstein, Minneapolis, present.
Hornstein, Minneapolis, present. Howard.
Howard, St. Paul, present.
Howard, St. Paul, present. Hewitt.
Hewitt, St. Paul, present.
Hewitt, St. Paul, present. Johnson. Johnson, St. Paul, present. Jordan.
Jordan, St. Paul, present.
Jordan, St. Paul, present. Jurgens.
Jurgens, Cottage Grove, present.
Jurgens, Cottage Grove, present. Keel.
Keel, Hammond Township, present.
Keel, Hammond Township, present. Cleveland.
Cleveland, St. Paul, present.
Cleveland, St. Paul, present. Cagle.
Kegel, St. Paul, present.
Cagle, St. Paul, present. Katiza, Wattoon.
Katiza, Wattoon, St. Paul, present.
Katiza, Wattoon, St. Paul, present. Kosnick.
Cosmic, Lakeville, present.
Kosnick, Lakeville, present. Creshaw.
Present.
Creshaw, Little Falls, present. Kunish, Podine.
Kunish, Podine, St. Paul, present.
Kunish, Podine, St. Paul, present. Lehman.
Lehman, Cohasset, present.
Lehman, Cohasset, present. Lee.
Lee, St. Paul, present.
Lee, St. Paul, present. Lesch.
Lesch, St. Paul, present.
Lesch, St. Paul, present. Liebling.
Liebling, Rochester, present.
Liebling, Rochester, present. Lean.
Wayne, Moorhead, present.
Lean, Moorhead, present. Lily.
Lily, St. Paul, present.
Lily, St. Paul, present. Lippert.
Lippert, St. Paul, present.
Lippert, St. Paul, present. Lislegard.
Lislegard, St. Paul, present.
Lislegard, St. Paul, present. Long.
Long, St. Paul, present.
Long, St. Paul, present. Lucero.
Lucero, Dayton, present.
Lucero, Dayton, present. Lewick.
Lewick, Aiken, present.
Lewick, Aiken, present. Mahoney.
St. Mahoney, St. Paul, present.
Mahoney, St. Paul, present. Mann.
Man, St. Paul, present.
Mann, St. Paul, present. Mariani.
Mariani, St. Paul, present.
Mariani, St. Paul, present. Marquardt.
Marquardt, Dilworth, present.
Marquardt, Dilworth, present. Mason.
Mason, St. Paul, present.
Mason, St. Paul, present. McDonald. McDonald. Mecklin.
Mecklin, Clear Lake, present.
Mecklin, Clear Lake, present. Miller.
Miller, St. Paul, present.
Miller, St. Paul, present. Moeller.
Moeller, St. Paul, present.
Moeller, St. Paul, present. Moran.
Moran, St. Paul, present.
Moran, St. Paul, present. Morrison.
Morrison, St. Paul, present.
Morrison, St. Paul, present. Munson.
Munson, Lincoln Township, present.
Munson, Lincoln Township, present. Murphy.
Murphy, Hermantown, present.
Murphy, Hermantown, present. Nash.
Nash, Waconia, present.
Nash, Waconia, present. Nelson M.
Nelson M., St. Paul, present.
Nelson M., St. Paul, present. Nelson N.
Nelson N., Clover Township, present.
Nelson N., Clover Township, present. New. Nor,
St. Paul, present.
St. Paul, present. Nornis,
Fergus Falls, present.
Fergus Falls, present. Novotny,
Elk River, present.
Elk River, present. O'Driscoll,
Sartell, present.
Sartell, present. Olson,
St. Paul, present.
St. Paul, present.
O'Neill, Maple Lake, present.
Maple Lake, present. Pulowski,
Winona, present.
Winona, present. Purcell,
Bemidji, present.
Bemidji, present. Petersburg,
Waseca, present.
Waseca, present. Pearson,
Rochester Township, present.
Rochester Township, present. Pinto,
St. Paul, present.
St. Paul, present. Poppe,
St. Paul, present.
St. Paul, present. Poston,
Lakeshore, present.
Lakeshore, present. Pryor,
St. Paul, present.
St. Paul, present. Byron, present. Byron, present. Richardson,
St. Paul, present.
St. Paul, present. Robbins, St. Paul, present. Runbeck,
Circle Pines, present.
Circle Pines, present. Sandell,
St. Paul, present.
St. Paul, present. Sandsted,
Hibbing, present.
Hibbing, present. Sauk,
Rochester, present.
Rochester, present. Schumacher,
Laverne, present.
Laverne, present. Schultz,
Duluth, present.
Duluth, present. Scott, Andover, present. Stevenson,
St. Paul, present.
St. Paul, present. Sundin,
St. Paul, present.
St. Paul, present. Swazinski,
Eisel Township, present.
Ifo Township, present. Tabke,
St. Paul, present.
St. Paul, present. Tice, St. Paul, present. Torkelson,
Hanska, present.
Hanska, present. Erdahl,
Acton Township, present.
Acton Township, present. Vang,
St. Paul, present.
St. Paul, present. Vogel,
Elko Newmarket, present.
Elko Newmarket, present. Wagenius,
Minneapolis, present.
Minneapolis, present. Waslowick,
St. Paul, present.
St. Paul, present. West,
Blaine, present.
Blaine, present. Winkler, St. Paul, present. Walgamot,
St. Paul, present.
St. Paul, present. Zhang Jie,
St. Paul, present.
St. Paul, present. Zhang T,
St. Paul, present.
St. Paul, present. Joachim,
St. Paul, present.
St. Paul, present. Speaker Hartman, St. Paul, present. Garofalo, Heinzman,
Present. Heitzman, present.
Garofalo,
Heitzman, present.
and you're in Nisswa? Heinzman, Nisswa, present. McDonald,
Delano. McDonald, present. Delano.
Delano, present.
Garofalo, Farmington, present.
Farmington, present.
A quorum is present. The clerk will read the journal of the preceding day.
Journal of the House, 91st Session 2020, 91st day, St. Paul, Minnesota, Monday, May 11th, 2020.
If there's no objection, further reading of the journal will be dispensed with, and the journal will be approved as corrected by the chief clerk. Hearing no objection, the journal is approved as corrected by the chief clerk. Comparison reports. A copy of this order of business is online. If there is no objection, the motions will prevail. Hearing no objection, the motions prevail and the substitutions will be made. Reports of standing committees and divisions. There's a copy of this order of business online. If there is no objection, the reports will be adopted. Hearing no objection, the reports are adopted. Second reading of House files.
Second reading House File number 365.
Second reading.
Second reading House File 1842.
Second reading.
Second reading House File 2296.
Second reading.
Second reading House File 3804.
Second reading.
Second reading House File 4579.
Second reading. Second reading of Senate files.
Second reading Senate File number 3435.
Second reading.
Second reading Senate File 3589.
Second reading. Introduction of bills. The following House files have been offered for introduction today. The chief clerk will report the House files and give them their first reading.
Introduction and first reading of House Files 4666 through 4672.
First reading, House files 4666 through 4672. Messages from the Senate.
Message from the Senate. Madam Speaker, I hereby announce the passage by the Senate of the following House file, herewith returned as amended by the Senate, in which concurrence of the House is respectfully requested. House File number 1883, an act relating to education. Carlson L. moves that the House concur in the Senate amendments to House File number 1883 and that the bill be repassed as amended by the Senate.
Representative Carlson, to your motion to concur.
Madam Speaker, this is the continuation of the COVID-19 Minnesota Fund. Earlier in the session, we established the fund and we put $200 million in the fund so that we could enter into as fast as possible negotiations and contracts to purchase badly needed medical supplies and equipment. When the bill was passed, it put an expiration date in of May 11th. What this bill does, if we concur with the Senate, would extend that to December 31st, 2020, and it also would make it retroactive to May 8th, 2011, because it did expire yesterday, so technically the money went back into the general fund, and by making the date May 8th to recapture the funds when the bill is passed and signed by the governor, the money will go back into the fund that remains. To date, $163 million has been expended and $37 million remains in the fund unspent. And that's why it's important that we pass this piece of legislation with the 2 date changes. Thank you.
Thank you. Discussion to the Carlson motion to concur. Representative Garofalo.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I was going to speak on final passage, not on the motion to concur, but I would say, members, given the small amount of money that is in this fund, the sunset date is really irrelevant. We're going to have a future debate if future money is put into the COVID-19 fund about legislative oversight. But for today, I would encourage members to vote yes on concurrence, and then once the concurrence is adopted, I would encourage members to vote yes on final passage. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Any further discussion on the Carlson motion to concur? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Those opposed, please say no. The motion prevails. The clerk will give the bill its third reading as amended by the Senate.
Third reading House File number 1883 as amended by the Senate.
Third reading as amended by the Senate. Discussion to the bill. I have to apologize, I don't have my notes in front of me. So Representative Carlson, did you want to speak on third reading?
Not necessary, Madam Chair. I've already spoke to the bill. It's got two important dates. It would extend the funding to December 31st, 2020, and it would recapture the money that already went into the general fund by having a look back to May 8th, 2011. So that continues to make $37 million available for the purchase of vital medical equipment and supplies.
Any further discussion to the bill? Hearing none, the clerk will take the roll on the Carlson, on the bill as amended by the Senate.
Acom.
Acom, aye.
Acom, aye. Albright.
Albright, aye.
Albright, aye. Anderson.
Anderson, aye.
Anderson, aye. Backer.
Backer, aye.
Backer, aye. Bonner.
Bonner, aye.
Bonner, aye. Barr. Barr, aye. Baker.
Baker, aye.
Baker, aye. Becker Finn.
Becker Finn, aye.
Becker Finn, aye. Bennett.
Bennett, aye.
Bennett, aye. Bernardi.
Bernardi, aye.
Bernardi, aye. Bierman.
Aye.
Bierman.
Bierman, aye.
Bierman, aye. Bow.
Bow, aye.
Bow, aye. Brand.
Brand, aye.
Brand, aye. Cantrell.
Cantrell, aye.
Cantrell, aye. Carlson, A.
Carlson A. Aye.
Carlson, A, aye. Carlson, L.
Carlson L, aye.
Carlson, L, aye. Christensen.
Christensen, aye.
Christensen, aye. Claflin.
Claflin, aye.
Claflin, aye. Considine.
Considine, aye.
Considine, aye. Daniels.
Daniels, aye.
Daniels, aye. Doubt. Doubt. Davids. Davids, aye. Davney.
Dabney, aye.
Davney, aye. Dean.
Dean, aye.
Dean, aye. Damath.
Damath, aye.
Damath, aye. Detmer. Detmer, aye. Dreskowski.
Treskowski, aye.
Dreskowski, aye. Eklund.
Eklund, aye.
Eklund, aye. Edelson.
Edelson, aye.
Edelson, aye. Elkins.
Elkins, aye.
Elkins, aye. Erickson. Erickson, aye. Fabian.
Fabian, aye.
Fabian, aye. Fisher.
Fisher, aye.
Fisher, aye. Franzen.
Franson, aye.
Franzen, aye. Freiberg. Freiberg, aye. Garofalo.
Garofalo, aye.
Garofalo, aye. Gomez.
Gomez, aye.
Gomez, aye. Green. Green, aye. Grossel.
Grossel, aye.
Grossel, aye. Gruenhagen.
Gruenhagen, aye.
Gruenhagen, aye. Gunther.
Gunther, aye.
Gunther, aye. Haley.
Haley, aye.
Haley, aye. Halverson.
Halverson, aye.
Halverson, aye. Hamilton. Hamilton. Hanson.
Hanson, aye.
Hanson, aye. Hassan.
Hassan, aye.
Hassan, aye. Hausman.
Hausman, aye.
Hausman, aye. Heinrich.
Heinrich, aye.
Heinrich, aye. Heinzman.
Heinzman, Iswa, aye.
Heinzman, aye. Her.
Her, aye.
Her, aye. Hertas.
Hertas, aye.
Hertas, aye. Hornstein.
Hornstein, aye.
Hornstein, aye. Howard.
Howard, aye.
Howard, aye. Hewitt.
Hewitt, aye.
Hewitt, aye. Johnson. Johnson, aye. Jordan.
Jordan, aye.
Jordan, aye. Jurgens.
Jurgens, aye.
Jurgens, aye. Keel.
Keel, aye.
Keel, aye. Cleavorn.
Cleavorn, aye.
Cleavorn, aye. Cagle.
Cagle, aye.
Cagle, aye. Katiza Wattoon.
Katiza Wattoon, aye.
Katiza Wattoon, aye. Kosnick.
Cosmic, aye.
Kosnick, aye. Creshaw. Creshaw.
Creshaw, aye.
Creshaw, aye. Kunish-Podine.
Kunish-Podine, aye.
Kunish-Podine, aye. Lehman.
Lehman, aye.
Lehman, aye. Lee.
Lee, aye.
Lee, aye. Lesch.
Lesch, aye.
Lesch, aye. Liebling.
Liebling, aye.
Liebling, aye. Lean.
Lean, aye.
Lean, aye. Lilly.
Lily, aye.
Lilly, aye. Lippert.
Lippert, aye.
Lippert, aye. Listlegard.
Listlegard, aye.
Listlegard, aye. Long.
Long, aye.
Long, aye. Lucero.
Lucero, yes.
Lucero, aye. Lewick.
Lewick, aye.
Lewick, aye. Mahoney.
Mahoney, aye.
Mahoney, aye. Mann.
Man, aye.
Mann, aye. Mariani.
Mariani, aye.
Mariani, aye. Marquardt.
Marquardt, aye.
Marquardt, aye. Mason.
Mason, aye.
Mason, aye. McDonald.
McDonald, aye.
McDonald, aye. Mecklin.
Meckland, aye.
Mecklin, aye. Miller.
Miller, aye.
Miller, aye. Moeller.
Moeller, aye.
Moeller, aye. Moran.
Moran, aye.
Moran, aye. Morrison.
Morrison, aye.
Morrison, aye. Munson.
Munson, aye.
Munson, aye. Murphy. Murphy. Nash.
Nash, aye.
Nash, aye. Nelson M.
Nelson M. I.
Nelson M, aye. Nelson N.
Nelson N, aye.
Nelson N, aye. New. Nor.
Nor, aye.
Nor, aye. Nornis.
Nornis, aye.
Nornis, aye. Novotny.
Novotny, aye.
Novotny, aye. O'Driscoll.
O'Driscoll, I.
O'Driscoll, aye. Olson.
Olson, aye.
Olson, aye. O'Neill.
O'Neill, aye.
O'Neill, aye. Pulowski.
Pulowski, aye.
Pulowski, aye. Purcell.
Purcell, aye.
Purcell, aye. Petersburg.
Petersburg, aye.
Petersburg, aye. Pearson.
Pearson, aye.
Pearson, aye. Pinto.
Pinto, aye.
Pinto, aye. Poppe.
Poppe, aye.
Poppe, aye. Poston.
Poston, aye.
Poston, aye. Pryor.
Pryor, aye.
Pryor, aye. Quam.
Quam, aye.
Quam, aye. Richardson. Richardson.
Richardson, aye.
Richardson, aye. Robbins. Robbins, aye. Runbeck.
Runbeck, aye.
Runbeck, aye. Sandell.
Sandell, aye.
Sandell, aye. Sandsted.
Sandsted, aye.
Sandsted, aye. Sauk.
Sauk, aye.
Sauk, aye. Schumacher.
Schumacher, aye.
Schumacher, aye. Schultz.
Schultz, aye.
Schultz, aye. Scott.
Scott, aye.
Scott, aye. Stevenson.
Stevenson, aye.
Stevenson, aye. Sundin.
Sundin, aye.
Sundin, aye. Swazinski. Swazinski. Tabke.
Tabke, aye.
Tabke, aye. Tice. Tice, aye. Torkelson.
Torkelson, aye.
Torkelson, aye. Erdahl.
Erdahl, aye.
Erdahl, aye. Vang.
Vang, aye.
Vang, aye. Vogel.
Vogel, aye.
Vogel, aye. Wagenius.
Wagenius, aye.
Wagenius, aye. Waslowick.
Waslowick, aye.
Waslowick, aye. West.
West, aye.
West, aye. Winkler. Winkler, aye. Walgamot.
Wolgamott, aye.
Walgamot, aye. Zhang Jie.
Zhang Jie, aye.
Zhang Jie, aye. Zhang Ti.
Zhang Ti, aye.
Zhang Ti, aye. Joachim.
Joachim, aye.
Joachim, aye. Speaker Hortman. Speaker Hortman, aye. Doubt. Doubt. Hamilton. Hamilton. Murphy. Murphy,
Aye.
Murphy, aye. New. Swazinski,
Swazinski, aye.
Swazinski, aye.
There being 131 ayes and 0 nays, the bill is passed as amended by the Senate and its title agreed to. Messages from the Senate.
Message from the Senate. Madam Speaker, I hereby announce the passage by the Senate of the following Senate files herewith transmitted. Senate file number 3251 and 3443.
First reading of Senate files.
First reading, Senate file number 3251, an act relating to housing. The bill is being referred to the Property and Local Tax Division. First reading, Senate file number 3443, an act relating to housing. Fisher moved that Senate file 3443 and House file number 3625, now on the General Register, be referred to the Chief Clerk for comparison.
Without objection, so ordered. Report from the Committee on Rules and Legislative Administration.
Winkler from the Committee on Rules and Legislative Administration, pursuant to Rules 1.21 and 3.33, designates the following bills to be placed on the calendar for the day for Thursday, May 14th, 2019, and establishes a pre-filing requirement for amendments offered to the following bills. House File number 4374 and Senate File number 3255 and 3358.
Calendar for the day. The first bill on the calendar for the day is House File 4285. The clerk will report the bill.
House File number 4285, number 2 on the calendar for the day, an act relating to agriculture, the second engrossment.
I recognize the author of the bill, the member from Mauer, Representative Poppe, to present the bill.
Members. Thank you, Madam Speaker and members. House File 4285 is the Ag Policy Bill, which has been vetted in relevant committees, is written in agreement with the Senate Ag Policy Chair, and has the approval of the House Ag members of both the majority and the minority. It consists of 4 articles. Article 1 deals with perishable farm products. It updates some language, and it eliminates licensing and bonding requirements for wholesale product purchases. These changes reduce the fees by about $140,000 per year that are given to Minnesota Department of Ag. Article 2 is seed law, making technical changes, conforming some updates, and making sure that the weed lists are up to date and given out to the committee, relevant committees. Creates a seed advisory committee and does some seed fee permits and labeling changes. In Article 3, we have noxious weeds. Those require technical changes, clarifying language, and eliminates confusing terms. And then Article 4 has miscellaneous provisions, and that's where we have most of the bills that were heard in committee by different members of our committee. Representative Vang has industrial hemp law, House File 3706, which deals with processing, licensing, and data classification and rulemaking. And Representative Scott assisted Representative Vang in talking about data classification, so we reached agreement there. Representative Lippert has House File 3558, which creates the Emerging Farmers Working Group, and that group will advise the legislature and the Minnesota Department of Ag Commissioner regarding development and implementation of programs and initiatives to support emerging beginning farmers. Then we also, in that section, it also will update the microloan maximum loan amount under the Rural Finance Authority Pilot Ag Microloan Program from $10,000 to $20,000. House File 3799 updates the MAIL-C, which is the Minnesota Agricultural Education Leadership Council. This is a bill carried by the 4 members of the House who serve on that committee. Myself, Representative Hamilton, Representative Kunesh-Bodine, and Representative Poston. And that will update the language there, primarily stating that it will be known as the Minnesota Agricultural, not Agriculture Education Leadership Council. House File 1530 is a bill I carried for vet immunity, provides civil and criminal penalty immunity to our veterinarians who report suspected animal cruelty or determine that an animal is suffering and needs to be put down. The effective date for that will be August 1st, 2020, and will go forward from that point. Representative Keel's bill, House File 4328, modifies language regarding the Ag Innovation Campus and Soy Processing and Research Center that is in Crookston. Representative Eklund's bill, House File 4072, requires Minnesota Department of Ag to consult and come back to the legislature with farm safety solutions and ideas on what we can do to improve farm safety. And we also have biofuels language for a report, including policies and infrastructure needs to meet the state's petroleum replacement goals and utilize more biofuels. And that is the bill, Madam Speaker.
Discussion to the bill. There are no amendments at the desk. The clerk will give the bill its third reading.
Third reading, House File number 4285.
Third reading. Discussion. The clerk will take the roll on the bill.
Acom.
Acom, aye.
Acom, aye. Albright.
Albright, aye.
Albright, aye. Anderson.
Anderson, aye.
Anderson, aye. Backer.
Backer, aye.
Backer, aye. Bonner.
Bonner, aye.
Bonner, aye. Barr. Barr, no. Baker.
Baker, aye.
Baker, aye. Becker, Finn.
Becker Finn, aye.
Becker, Finn, aye. Bennett.
Bennett, aye.
Bennett, aye. Bernardi.
Bernardi, aye.
Bernardi, aye. Bierman.
Bierman, aye.
Bierman, aye. Bow. Bow. Brand.
Brand, aye.
Brand, aye. Cantrell.
Cantrell, aye.
Cantrell, aye. Carlson, A.
Carlson, A. Aye.
Carlson, A. Aye. Carlson, L. Carlson, L. Christensen.
Christensen, aye.
Christensen, aye. Claflin.
Claflin, aye.
Claflin, aye. Considine.
Considine, aye.
Considine, aye. Daniels.
Daniels, aye.
Daniels, aye. Doubt. Doubt. Davids. Davids, aye. Davney.
Davney, aye.
Davney, aye. Dean.
Dean, aye.
Dean, aye. Damath.
Damath, aye.
Damath, aye. Detmer. Detmer, aye. Drazkowski.
Gruskowski, aye.
Drazkowski, aye. Eklund.
Eklund, aye.
Eklund, aye. Edelson.
Edelson, aye.
Edelson, aye. Elkins.
Elkins, aye.
Elkins, aye. Erickson. Erickson, aye. Fabian.
Fabian, aye.
Fabian, aye. Fisher.
Fisher, aye.
Fisher, aye. Franson.
Franson, aye.
Franson, aye. Freiberg. Freiberg, aye. Garofalo.
Garofalo, aye.
Garofalo, aye. Gomez. Gomez. Green. Green, aye. Grossel.
Grossel, aye.
Grossel, aye. Grunhagen.
Grunehagen, aye.
Grunhagen, aye. Gunther.
Gunther, aye.
Gunther, aye. Haley.
Haley, aye.
Haley, aye. Halverson.
Halverson, aye.
Halverson, aye. Hamilton.
Hamilton, aye.
Hamilton, aye. Hanson.
Excused.
Hanson.
Hanson,
Excused. Hassan.
Hassan, I.
Hassan, I. Hausman.
Hausman, I.
Hausman, I. Heinrich.
Heinrich, aye.
Heinrich, I. Heinzman.
Heinzman, aye.
Heinzman, I. Her.
Her, I.
Her, I. Hertos.
Hertos, aye.
Hertos, I. Hornstein.
Hornstein, aye.
Hornstein, I. Howard.
Howard, aye.
Howard, I. Hewitt.
Hewitt, aye.
Hewitt, I. Johnson. Johnson, I. Jordan.
Jordan, I.
Jordan, I. Jurgens.
Jurgens, aye.
Jurgens, I. Keel.
Steele, I.
Keel, I. Cleavorn.
Cleavorn, I.
Cleavorn, I. Cagle.
Cagle, I.
Cagle, I. Katiza Wattoon.
Katiza Wattoon, I.
Katiza Wattoon, I. Kosnick.
Kosnick, aye.
Kosnick, I. Krisha.
Grisha, aye.
Krisha, I. Kunish Podine.
Kunish Podine, I.
Kunish Podine, I. Lehman.
Lehman, I.
Lehman, I. Lee.
Lee, aye.
Lee, I. Lesch.
Lesch, aye.
Lesch, I. Liebling.
Liebling, I.
Liebling, I. Lean.
Lean, aye.
Lean, I. Lily.
Lily, I.
Lily, I. Lippert.
Lippert, aye.
Lippert, I. Listlegard.
Listlegard, aye.
Listlegard, I. Long.
Long, aye.
Long, I. Lucero.
Lucero, yes.
Lucero, I. Lewick.
Lewick, aye.
Lewick, I. Mahoney.
Mahoney, aye.
Mahoney, I. Mann.
Man, I.
Mann, I. Mariani. Mariani. Markwart.
Markward, aye.
Markwart, I. Mason.
Mason, I.
Mason, I. McDonald.
Old McDonald, aye.
McDonald, I. Mecklin.
Mecklen, aye.
Mecklin, I. Miller.
Miller, aye.
Miller, I. Moeller.
Moeller, I.
Moeller, I. Moran.
Moran, I.
Moran, I. Morrison.
Morrison, I.
Morrison, I. Munson.
Munson, I.
Munson, I. Murphy.
Murphy, I.
Murphy, I. Nash.
Nash, aye.
Nash, I. Nelson, M.
Nelson, M. I.
Nelson, M. I. Nelson, N.
Nelson, N, aye.
Nelson, N. I. New. New, I. Nor.
Nor, aye.
Nor, I. Nornis.
Nordis, aye.
Nornis, I. Novotny.
Novotny, aye.
Novotny, I. O'Driscoll.
O'Driscoll, I.
O'Driscoll, I. Olson.
Olson, I.
Olson, I. O'Neill.
O'Neill, I.
O'Neill, I. Pulowski.
Pulowski, aye.
Pulowski, I. Purcell.
Purcell, aye.
Purcell, I. Petersburg.
Petersburg, aye.
Petersburg, I. Pearson.
Pearson, aye.
Pearson, I. Pinto.
Pinto, aye.
Pinto, I. Poppe.
Poppe, I.
Poppe, I. Poston.
Poston, aye.
Poston, I. Pryor.
Pryor, I.
Pryor, I. Quam.
Quam, aye.
Quam, I. Richardson.
Richardson, I.
Richardson, I. Robbins. Robbins, I. Runbeck.
Runbeck, I.
Runbeck, I. Sandell.
Sandell, I.
Sandell, I. Sandsted.
Sandsted, I.
Sandsted, I. Sauk.
Salk, aye.
Sauk, I. Schumacher.
Schumacher, aye.
Schumacher, I. Schultz.
Schultz, I.
Schultz, I. Scott.
Scott, I.
Scott, I. Stevenson. Stevenson. Sundin.
Sundin, aye.
Sundin, I. Swazinski.
Swazinski, aye.
Swazinski, I. Tabke.
Tebke, aye.
Tabke, I. Tice. Tice, I. Torkelson.
Torkelson, aye.
Torkelson, I. Erdahl.
Erdahl, aye.
Erdahl, aye. Vang.
Vang, aye.
Vang, aye. Vogel.
Vogel, aye.
Vogel, aye. Wagenius.
Wagenius, aye.
Wagenius, aye. Wozlowick.
Wozlowick, aye.
Wozlowick, aye. West.
West, aye.
West, aye. Winkler. Winkler, aye. Wolgamott.
Wolgamott, aye.
Wolgamott, aye. Zhang Jie.
Zhang Jie, aye.
Zhang Jie, aye. Zhang Ti.
Zhang Ti, aye.
Zhang Ti, aye. Joachim.
Joachim, aye.
Joachim, aye. Speaker Hortman. Speaker Hortman, aye. Bo.
Aye.
Bo, aye. Carlson.
Aye.
Carlson L.
Aye.
Carlson L.
Carlson
Aye.
L. Aye.
Doubt. Doubt. Aye. Gomez.
Aye.
Gomez. Aye. Mariani.
Mariani, aye.
Mariani. Aye. Stevenson.
Stevenson, aye.
Stevenson. Aye.
There being 132 ayes and 1 nay, the bill is passed and its title agreed to. The next bill on the calendar for the day is House File 4602. The clerk will report the bill.
House File number 4602, number 3 on the calendar for the day, an act relating to economic development.
I recognize the author of the bill, the member from St. Louis, Representative Olson, to explain the bill.
Thank you, Madam Speaker and members. House File 4602 is coming about because in the 2019 Omnibus Jobs Bill, the legislature appropriated almost $12 million each year in fiscal year 2021 for the Minnesota Investment Fund. The Jobs Bill stated that of this amount, $2 million is for a loan to a paper mill in Duluth, the Verso paper plant, to upgrade its facilities in order to manufacture a higher grade of paper. The 2019 Jobs Bill stated that 25% of the MIF loan is forgivable each year starting in 2020 if Verso retains at least 200 full-time employees and satisfies other performance obligations. This bill makes a single change to the 2019 appropriation and rider language by changing the threshold for retained employees from 200 to 150. The effect of this change is to allow for the first 25% of the Verso's loan to be forgiven. Verso and the rest of the economy have been subject to very challenging circumstances. This small change to last year's jobs bill is a significant way to help a major employer in Duluth continue to operate. With that, I want to thank you for your support of House File 4602 and will stand for questions.
Any questions for the author or discussion to the bill? The member from Mille Lacs, Representative Erickson.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And I'm just providing support from Representative Pete Stauber, our 8th Congressional Congressman, who wrote to me that without the support of the mill, they may permanently close this year, and that is not acceptable. That the Verso paper mill currently employs about 240 persons, and that average salary is about $63,000, so these are quite good jobs. This is located in an economically challenged area of West Duluth, and these jobs are very much needed. This is temporary assistance, one time, to aid in the transition, as Representative Olson pointed out, for production of packaging products. Representative Stauber also writes that this Duluth Verso paper mill competes nationally and internationally, and so Minnesota needs to stay competitive for the jobs that we know we want in that part of the state and throughout our state. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
There are no amendments at the desk. The clerk will give the bill its third reading.
Third reading, House File Number 4602.
Third reading. Any further discussion to the bill? Representative Olson.
Thank you, Madam Speaker and members, and ask for your support of House File 4602.
Seeing no further discussion, the clerk will take the roll on House File 4602.
Acom.
Acom, aye.
Acom, aye. Albright.
Albright, aye.
Albright, aye. Anderson.
Anderson, aye.
Anderson, aye. Backer.
Backer, aye.
Backer, aye. Bonner.
Bonner, aye.
Bonner, aye. Barr. Barr, no. Baker.
Baker, aye.
Baker, aye. Becker, Finn.
Becker Finn, aye.
Becker, Finn, aye. Bennett.
Bennett, aye.
Bennett, aye. Bernardi.
Bernardi, aye.
Bernardi, aye. Bierman.
Bierman, aye.
Bierman, aye. Bow.
Bow, aye.
Bow, aye. Brand.
Brand, aye.
Brand, aye. Cantrell.
Cantrell, aye.
Cantrell, aye. Carlson, A.
Carlson, A, aye.
Carlson, A, aye. Carlson, L.
Carlson L. Aye.
Carlson, L, aye. Christensen.
Christensen, aye.
Christensen, aye. Claflin.
Claflin, aye.
Claflin, aye. Considine.
Considine, aye.
Considine, aye. Daniels.
Daniels, aye.
Daniels, aye. Doubt.
I always try to be ready well ahead of time.
Doubt. Davids. Davids, aye. Davney.
Dabney, aye.
Davney, aye. Dean.
Dean, aye.
Dean, aye. Damath.
Damath, aye.
Damath, aye. Detmer. Detmer, aye. Driscowski.
Gruskowski, no.
Driscowski, no. Eklund.
Eklund, aye.
Eklund, aye. Edelson.
Edelson, aye.
Edelson, aye. Elkins.
Elkins, aye.
Elkins, aye. Erickson. Erickson, aye. Fabian.
Fabian, aye.
Fabian, aye. Fisher.
Fisher, aye.
Fisher, aye. Franzen.
Franson, aye.
Franzen, aye. Freiberg. Freiberg, aye. Garofalo.
Garofalo, aye.
Garofalo, aye. Gomez. Gomez. Green. Green, no. Grossel.
Grossel, no.
Grossel, no. Grunhagen.
Grunegan, no.
Grunhagen, no. Gunther.
Gunther, yes.
Gunther, aye. Haley.
Haley, aye.
Haley, aye. Halverson.
Halverson, aye.
Halverson, aye. Hamilton.
Hamilton, aye.
Hamilton, aye. Hanson.
Hanson, aye.
Hanson, aye. Hassan.
Hassan, aye.
Hassan, aye. Hausman.
Hausman, aye.
Hausman, aye. Heinrich.
Heinrich, no.
Heinrich, no. Heinzman.
Heinzman, yes.
Heinzman, aye. Her.
Her, aye.
Her, aye. Hertos.
Hertos, no.
Hertos, no. Hornstein.
Hornstein, aye.
Hornstein, aye. Howard.
Howard, aye.
Howard, aye. Hewitt.
Hewitt, aye.
Hewitt, aye. Johnson. Johnson, aye. Jordan.
Jordan, aye.
Jordan, aye. Jurgens.
Jurgens, aye.
Jurgens, aye. Keel.
Keel, aye.
Keel, aye. Cleavorn.
Cleavorn, aye.
Cleavorn, aye. Cagle.
Cagle, aye.
Cagle, aye. Katiza Wattoon.
Katiza Wattoon, aye.
Katiza Wattoon, aye. Kosnick.
Cosmic, aye.
Kosnick, aye. Creshaw.
Aye.
Creshaw, aye. Kunish Podine.
Kunish Podine, aye.
Kunish Podine, aye. Lehman.
Lehman, aye.
Lehman, aye. Lee.
Lee, aye.
Lee, aye. Lesch.
Lesch, aye.
Lesch, aye. Liebling.
Liebling, aye.
Liebling, aye. Lean.
Lean, aye.
Lean, aye. Lilly.
Lily, aye.
Lily, aye. Lippert.
Lippert, aye.
Lippert, aye. Listlegard.
Listlegard, aye.
Listlegard, aye. Long.
Long, aye.
Long, aye. Lucero.
Lusso, no.
Lucero, no. Lewick.
Lewick, aye.
Lewick, aye. Mahoney.
Mahoney, aye.
Mahoney, aye. Mann.
Man, I.
Mann, aye. Mariani.
Mariani, aye.
Mariani, aye. Markwart.
Wolf all day.
Markward, aye.
Markwart, aye. Mason.
Mason, aye.
Mason, aye. McDonald.
McDonald, no.
McDonald, no. Mecklin.
Mecklen, nay.
Mecklin, no. Miller.
Miller, aye.
Miller, aye. Moeller.
Moeller, I.
Moeller, aye. Moran.
Moran, I.
Moran, aye. Morrison.
Morrison, I.
Morrison, aye. Munson.
Munson, no.
Munson, no. Murphy.
Murphy, I.
Murphy, aye. Nash. Nash.
Nash, no.
Nash, no. Nelson, M.
Nelson M. I.
Nelson, M, aye. Nelson, N.
Nelson N. I.
Nelson, N, aye. New. New, aye. Nor.
Nor, aye.
Nor, aye. Nornis.
Nornis, aye.
Nornis, aye. Novotny.
Novotny, no.
Novotny, no. O'Driscoll.
O'Driscoll, no.
O'Driscoll, no. Olson.
Olson, I.
Olson, aye. O'Neill.
O'Neill, I.
O'Neill, aye. Pulowski.
Pulowski, aye.
Pulowski, aye. Purcell.
Purcell, aye.
Purcell, aye. Petersburg.
Petersburg, aye.
Petersburg, aye. Pearson.
Pearson, aye.
Pearson, aye. Pinto.
Pinto, aye.
Pinto, aye. Poppe.
Poppy, I.
Poppe, aye. Poston.
Poston, aye.
Poston, aye. Pryor.
Pryor, I.
Pryor, aye. Quam.
Quam, no.
Quam, no. Richardson.
Richardson, I.
Richardson, aye. Robbins. Robbins, aye. Runbeck.
Runbeck, I.
Runbeck, aye. Sandell.
Sandell, aye.
Sandell, aye. Sandsted.
Sandsted, I.
Sandsted, aye. Sauk. Sauk. Schumacher.
Aye.
Schumacher, aye. Schultz.
Schultz, I.
Schultz, aye. Scott.
Scott, no.
Scott, no. Stevenson.
Stevenson, aye.
Stevenson, aye. Sundin.
Sundin, aye.
Sundin, aye. Swazinski.
Swazinski, aye.
Swazinski, aye. Tabke.
Tedke, aye.
Tabke, aye. Tice. Tice, no. Torkelson. Torkelson. Erdahl.
Erdahl, aye.
Erdahl, aye. Vang.
Vang, I.
Vang, aye. Vogel.
Vogel, no.
Vogel, no. Wagenius.
Wagenius, I.
Wagenius, aye. Wozlowick.
Wozlowick, I.
Wozlowick, aye. West.
West, aye.
West, aye. Winkler. Winkler, aye. Wolgamott.
Wolgamott, aye.
Wolgamott, aye. Zhang Jie. Zhang Jie.
Zhang J, aye.
Zhang Jie, aye. Zhang Ti.
Zhang T, aye.
Zhang Ti, aye. Joachim.
Joachim, I.
Joachim, aye. Speaker Hartman. Speaker Hartman, aye. Doubt. Doubt. Gomez. Gomez. Sauk.
Sauk, aye.
Sauk, aye. Torkelson. Torkelson.
Torkelson, aye.
Torkelson, aye.
There being 114 ayes and 18 nays, the bill is passed and its title agreed to. The next bill on the calendar for the day is House File 627. The clerk will report the bill.
House File number 627, number 4 on the calendar for the day, an act relating to public safety, the first engrossment.
There are no amendments at the desk. The clerk will give the bill its third reading.
Third reading, House File number 627.
Third reading, discussion. I recognize the author of the bill, the member from Ramsey, Representative Pinto, to explain the bill.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Members, House File 627, the bill before us establishes statewide best practices for the use of eyewitness identification by law enforcement. By eyewitness identification, we're talking about the thing that you've seen in TV and movies potentially, where there's a lineup of suspects or a series of photographs, and someone who's seen a crime identifies the perpetrator in that lineup. That's, of course, an important tool, but it is critical to ensure that the identification is as accurate as possible. The practices that are outlined in this bill will provide that assurance for us, and they reflect best practices that have been developed nationally and internationally to provide that assurance. For example, there's a concern that's been found in research where the person who's administering the lineup is aware of who the suspect is. They can potentially signal that even if they don't intend to, and sway the eyewitness, and a series of other steps as well. And so what the bill does is ensures that agencies throughout the state are using those best practices throughout the field. The bill provides flexibility for law enforcement agencies of all sizes, from the smallest to the biggest. These are, in fact, best practices already used in much of the state. What this does is make absolutely sure that they're in use throughout the state. The bill has the support of the Innocence Project, as well as our state's county attorneys. And I should note, as a prosecutor myself, that the benefits of this are not only that we make sure that the innocent are not wrongly chosen out of a lineup, but also to make sure that if someone is in fact guilty, this provides the jury and others the assurance that when identification is made, we can have a confidence that that identification was accurate. And finally, I want to thank Representative Johnson for his interest in this, the public safety lead, as well as, of course, Chair Mariani. And members, certainly hope to have your support on the bill. I urge a green vote.
Discussion to the bill. Representative Johnson.
Speaker Hortman, members, Representative Pinto, I want to thank you for your work on this. You've taken a lot of the concerns I've had away. Minnesota is one big state and a very diverse state. The one concern I still have on this is the blind administration. In a department the size of Minneapolis or St. Paul or the metro areas, there's a lot of officers that don't know what's going on all the time. But in the department I worked at, we had a 13-man department. Our 13 guys working the road plus 3 investigators. Everybody on that department knew what was going on, who the suspects were, in just about every case. They knew them by name, and a lot of times by first, middle, last name, and date of birth. And it wasn't just the perpetrators in our county. We knew the ones in the county over because perpetrators don't know county line or jurisdictional lines. I also worked for a department that we had a 3-man department. We knew everything that was going on because we worked together on the cases. Now, I know you have to try to set it up the best you can for the blind administration, but a lot of times in order to get that done the way that this bill wants and the way the Project Innocent wants, that department would have to get somebody from outside their jurisdiction to come in to do the lineup. And a lot of times the investigators do work together. In fact, in my area, all the investigators from the surrounding counties get together once every week or once every 2 weeks to discuss what's going on in their communities, what's going on, who the perpetrators are. And 9 times out of 10, it's the same perpetrators in all the counties. They know who they are. Or they know them by name, I should say, when their cases come up. My concern is if you have to get somebody from another department, a lot of times when it goes to court, that person administering the lineup has to testify in court. Now, if it's not from your department, or I work for Isani County and I'm doing a lineup for Mille Lacs County, is Mille Lacs County going to pay my overtime for the court time I have and my travel time over to the Mille Lacs County Court? No, they won't do that. So in a lot of these small departments, I'm not sure how that's going to work by having somebody else come in. You might have to have BCA come in to do these lineups. And I've done a number of lineups in my career in law enforcement. I'm sure Representative Novotny has as well. And the stuff you have listed in here has been what's been done for decades. My first lineup was probably 30 years ago. And I always instructed the individual that the suspect may or may not be in this lineup. We always did our best to get as close to the photographs as we can. In fact, now I believe BCA has a computer program that when you send the name in, if there's a photograph, they will match it and send it back to you, so the department's not even setting up the lineup. It's BCA doing that. And we always would get a confidence statement. Those are court rules for evidence. Is it a problem putting this into policy? No. But I just have a little bit of concern on that blind administration. I do hope when BCA does the model policy that they will take that into consideration for these small departments and the hardship it can cause on them trying to do these. And I want to thank Representative Pinto for the work he did with the Minnesota County Attorneys Association, the Chiefs of the Police Association, and the Minnesota Sheriff's Association to get this to the point where everybody could agree on this or not have any opposition. Thank you.
Any further discussion to the bill? Representative Pinto.
Thank you, Madam Speaker and members. I do want to provide assurance regarding the issue that Representative Johnson brought up, that the bill does not require that anybody else come in. This works quite well for a one-person department where the person administering the lineup knows exactly who the suspect is. In that situation, there's they call it the folder shuffle because it's photographs the witness is looking at. And the bill simply requires that you have to shuffle the folders around so that you, the person administering the show up, is not able to see who the witness is looking at any one time. That way you can't sort of accidentally signal in some way. But there's no need to bring anybody else in, no need to involve anybody else. This is set up for a department of one person all the way up to a large department as well. So I think Representative Johnson can be assured on that. And with that, members, this will be a great step for us and certainly urge your support. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
There being no further discussion, the clerk will take the roll. Members, the clerk will call the roll in alphabetical order. Please be ready when your name is called.
Acom.
Acom, aye.
Acom, aye. Albright.
Albright, aye.
Albright, aye. Anderson.
Anderson, aye.
Anderson, aye. Backer.
Backer, aye.
Backer, aye. Bonner.
Bonner, aye.
Bonner, aye. Barr. Barr, aye. Baker.
Baker, aye.
Baker, aye. Becker, Finn.
Becker Finn, aye.
Becker, Finn, aye. Bennett.
Bennett, aye.
Bennett, aye. Bernardi.
Bernardi, aye.
Bernardi, aye. Bierman.
Bierman, aye.
Bierman, aye. Bowl. Bowl, aye. Brand.
Brand, aye.
Brand, aye. Cantrell.
Cantrell, aye.
Cantrell, aye. Carlson, A.
Carlson, A, aye.
Carlson, A, aye. Carlson, L.
Carlson L, aye.
Carlson, L, aye. Christensen.
Christensen, aye.
Christensen, aye. Claflin.
Claflin, aye.
Claflin, aye. Considine. Considine. Daniels.
Daniels, aye.
Daniels, aye. Doubt. Doubt. Davids. Davids, aye. Davney.
Davney, aye.
Davney, aye. Dean.
Dean, aye.
Dean, aye. Damath.
Damath, aye.
Damath, aye. Detmer. Detmer, aye. Drazkowski.
Ruskowski, no.
Drazkowski, no. Eklund.
Eklund, aye.
Eklund, aye. Edelson.
Edelson, aye.
Edelson, aye. Elkins.
Elkins, aye.
Elkins, aye. Erickson. Erickson, aye. Fabian.
Fabian, aye.
Fabian, aye. Fisher.
Fisher, aye.
Fisher, aye. Franzen.
Franson, aye.
Franzen, aye. Freiberg. Freiberg, aye. Garofalo.
Garofalo, aye.
Garofalo, aye. Gomez.
Gomez, aye.
Gomez, aye. Green. Green, aye. Grossel.
Grossel, aye.
Grossel, aye. Gruenhagen.
Greenhagen, aye.
Gruenhagen, aye. Gunther.
Gunther, aye.
Gunther, aye. Haley.
Haley, aye.
Haley, aye. Halverson.
Halverson, aye.
Halverson, aye. Hamilton.
Hamilton, aye.
Hamilton, aye. Hanson.
Hanson, aye.
Hanson, aye. Hassan.
Hassan, aye.
Hassan, aye. Hausman.
Hausman, aye.
Hausman, aye. Heinrich.
Heinrich, aye.
Heinrich, aye. Heinzman.
Heinzman, aye.
Heinzman, aye. Herr.
Her, aye.
Herr, aye. Hertos.
Hertos, aye.
Hertos, aye. Hornstein.
Hornstein, aye.
Hornstein, aye. Howard.
Howard, aye.
Howard, aye. Hewitt.
Hewitt, aye.
Hewitt, aye. Johnson. Johnson, aye. Jordan.
Jordan, aye.
Jordan, aye. Jurgens.
Jurgens, aye.
Jurgens, aye. Keel.
Keel, aye.
Keel, aye. Cleavorn.
Cleavorn, aye.
Cleavorn, aye. Cagle.
Cagle, aye.
Cagle, aye. Katiza Watun.
Katiza Watun, aye.
Katiza Watun, aye. Kosnick.
Cosmic, aye.
Kosnick, aye. Kreshaw.
Grisha, aye.
Kreshaw, aye. Kunish Podine.
Kunish Podine, aye.
Kunish Podine, aye. Lehman.
Lehman, aye.
Lehman, aye. Lee.
Lee, aye.
Lee, aye. Lesch.
Lesch, aye.
Lesch, aye. Liebling.
Liebling, aye.
Liebling, aye. Lean.
Lean, aye.
Lean, aye. Lilly.
Lily, aye.
Lilly, aye. Lippert.
Lippert, aye.
Lippert, aye. Listlegard.
Listlegard, aye.
Listlegard, aye. Long.
Long, aye.
Long, aye. Lucero.
Lucero, yes.
Lucero, aye. Lewick.
Lewick, aye.
Lewick, aye. Mahoney.
Mahoney, aye.
Mahoney, aye. Mann.
Man, aye.
Mann, aye. Mariani.
Mariani, aye.
Mariani, aye. Marquardt.
Marquardt, aye.
Marquardt, aye. Mason.
Mason, aye.
Mason, aye. McDonald.
McDonald, aye.
McDonald, aye. Mecklin.
Meckland, aye.
Mecklin, aye. Miller.
Miller, aye.
Miller, aye. Moeller.
Moeller, aye.
Moeller, aye. Moran. Moran.
Moran, aye.
Moran, aye. Morrison.
Morrison, aye.
Morrison, aye. Munson.
Munson, aye.
Munson, aye. Murphy.
Murphy, aye.
Murphy, aye. Nash.
Nash, aye.
Nash, aye. Nelson M.
Nelson M. I.
Nelson M, aye. Nelson N.
Nelson N. I.
Nelson N, aye. New. New, aye. Nor.
Nor, aye.
Nor, aye. Nornis.
Nornis, I.
Nornis, aye. Novotny.
Novotny, aye.
Novotny, aye. O'Driscoll.
O'Driscoll, aye.
O'Driscoll, aye. Olson.
Olson, aye.
Olson, aye. O'Neill.
O'Neill, aye.
O'Neill, aye. Pulowski.
Pulowski, aye.
Pulowski, aye. Purcell.
Purcell, aye.
Purcell, aye. Petersburg.
Petersburg, aye.
Petersburg, aye. Pearson.
Pearson, aye.
Pearson, aye. Pinto.
Pinto, aye.
Pinto, aye. Poppe.
Poppe, aye.
Poppe, aye. Poston.
Poston, I.
Poston, aye. Pryor.
Pryor, aye.
Pryor, aye. Quam.
Guam, aye.
Quam, aye. Richardson.
Richardson, aye.
Richardson, aye. Robbins. Robbins, aye. Runbeck.
Runbeck, aye.
Runbeck, aye. Sandell.
Sandell, I.
Sandell, aye. Sandsted.
Sandsted, aye.
Sandsted, aye. Sauk.
Sauk, aye.
Sauk, aye. Schumacher.
Schumacher, aye.
Schumacher, aye. Schultz.
Schultz, aye.
Schultz, aye. Scott.
Here we go.
Scott, aye.
Scott, aye. Stevenson.
Stevenson, aye.
Stevenson, aye. Sundin.
Sundin, aye.
Sundin, aye. Swazinski.
Swazinski, aye.
Swazinski, aye. Tabke.
Tabke, aye.
Tabke, aye. Tice. Tice, aye. Torkelson.
Torkelson, aye.
Torkelson, aye. Erdahl.
Erdahl, aye.
Erdahl, aye. Vang.
Vang, aye.
Vang, aye. Vogel.
Vogel, aye.
Vogel, aye. Wagenius.
Wagenius, aye.
Wagenius, aye. Waslowick.
Waslowick, aye.
Waslowick, aye. West.
West, aye.
West, aye. Winkler. Winkler, aye. Wagamot.
Wogamot, aye.
Wagamot, aye. Zhang Jie. Zhang Jie.
John J, aye.
Zhang Jie, aye. Zhang Ti.
Young T, aye.
Zhang Ti, aye. Joachim.
Joachim, aye.
Joachim, aye. Speaker Hortman. Speaker Hortman, aye. Considine.
Considine, aye.
Considine, aye. Doubt. Doubt, aye.
There being 133 ayes and 1 nay, the bill is passed and its title agreed to. Without objection, we'll revert to taking the roll call.
Doubt. Doubt, St. Paul, present. New. New, St. Paul, present.
The next bill on the calendar for the day is House File 4429. The clerk will report the bill.
House File number 4429, number 5 on the calendar for the day, an act relating to economic development, the first engrossment.
I recognize the author of the bill, the member from Dakota, Representative Claflin, to explain the bill.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. This bill contains two parts. First, it makes several changes to the Pay for Performance Workforce Training Program. Under this program, community organizations that provide workforce training are reimbursed by the state for their work only if they adhere to certain standards and meet specific benchmarks. The first part of this bill makes several changes to the way that DEED administers this pay-for-performance program, including changing the reimbursement requirements from at least $15,000 spent per graduate to at least $5,500 spent per participant. This sets a stable metric for program evaluation and stable budget planning. It also changes the reimbursement requirements for the pay earned by program graduates to be at least equal to the state minimum wage rather than a set dollar value. It changes the content of the training program to include measurable criteria such as financial literacy, digital literacy, long-term planning for success, and soft skills that are critical to job success. It removes the more flexible criteria of thinking skills, creative thinking, self-esteem, and integrity. It also caps supplemental income support, such as housing assistance provided by the program at $2,000 per participant. This helps the participants get through the program and graduate and get placed in a job. The final change is that it changes the participation qualification to 200% of federal poverty guidelines for the past 6 months, rather than requiring someone to have an even lower income for a more extended period of time. Someone should not be required to be utterly impoverished for such a significant amount of time before qualifying to enter this job training program. The second part of this bill changes the name of the Displaced Homemaker program at DEED to the Minnesota Family Resiliency Partnership. The Displaced Homemaker program was created in 1973, and for many years, it focused on women who were seeking to re-enter the workforce for the first time in many years after spending time raising a family. That program now has a much broader scope and clientele. Changing the name of the program will help attract people from all across the state who are eligible to participate. During this crisis, we are working to address the immediate needs of impacted people, and we are looking ahead to the future. These seemingly minor policy changes will make it easier for people to get back on their feet following any crisis. I want to thank Representative Kosnick for signing on to this bipartisan bill, and Representatives Becker Finn, Gunther, Baker, Jay Zhang, and Hassan for signing on to the original bill for the Minnesota Family Resiliency Partnership. I would also like to thank Senators Housley, Draheim, Champion, and Dom for making this a priority. And I especially want to thank the Minnesotans who make it their job to help others over obstacles on their way to a fulfilling, family-sustaining career. Thank you.
Any discussion to the bill? There are no amendments at the desk. The clerk will give the bill its third reading.
Third reading, House File Number 4429.
Third reading. Any further discussion? Hearing none, the clerk will take the roll on House File 4429.
Acom.
Acom, aye.
Acom, aye. Albright.
Albright, aye.
Albright, aye. Anderson.
Anderson, aye.
Anderson, aye. Backer.
Backer, aye.
Backer, aye. Bonner.
Bonner, aye.
Bonner, aye. Barr. Barr, no. Baker.
Baker, aye.
Baker, aye. Becker Finn.
Becker Finn, aye.
Becker Finn, aye. Bennett.
Bennett, aye.
Bennett, aye. Bernardi.
Bernardi, aye.
Bernardi, aye. Bierman.
Bierman, aye.
Bierman, aye. Bow. Bow, aye. Brand.
Brand, aye.
Brand, aye. Cantrell.
Cantrell, aye.
Cantrell, aye. Carlson, A.
Carlson, A, aye.
Carlson, A, aye. Carlson, L.
Carlson L, aye.
Carlson, L, aye. Christensen.
Christensen, aye.
Christensen, aye. Claflin.
Claflin, aye.
Claflin, aye. Considine.
Considine, aye.
Considine, aye. Daniels.
Daniels, aye.
Daniels, aye. Doubt. Doubt, aye. Davids. David's aye. Davney.
Dabney, aye.
Davney, aye. Dean.
Dean, aye.
Dean, aye. Damath.
Damath, aye.
Damath, aye. Detmer. Detmer, aye. Driscollowski.
Truskowski, no.
Driscollowski, no. Eklund.
Eklund, aye.
Eklund, aye. Edelson.
Edelson, aye.
Edelson, aye. Elkins.
Elkins, aye.
Elkins, aye. Erickson. Erickson, aye. Fabian.
Fabian, aye.
Fabian, aye. Fisher.
Fisher, aye.
Fisher, aye. Franzen.
Franson, aye.
Franzen, aye. Freiberg. Freiberg, aye. Garofalo.
Garofalo, aye.
Garofalo, aye. Gomez.
Gomez, aye.
Gomez, aye. Green. Green, aye. Grossel.
Grossel, aye.
Grossel, aye. Gruenhagen.
Gruenhagen, aye.
Gruenhagen, aye. Gunther.
Gunther, aye.
Gunther, aye. Haley.
Haley, aye.
Haley, aye. Halverson.
Halverson, aye.
Halverson, aye. Hamilton.
Hamilton, aye.
Hamilton, aye. Hanson.
Hanson, aye.
Hanson, aye. Hassan.
Hassan, aye.
Hassan, aye. Hausman.
Hausman, aye.
Hausman, aye. Heinrich.
Heinrich, aye.
Heinrich, aye. Heinzman.
Heinzman, aye.
Heinzman, aye. Herr.
Her, aye.
Herr, aye. Hertos.
Hertos, aye.
Hertos, aye. Hornstein.
Hornstein, aye.
Hornstein, aye. Howard.
Howard, aye.
Howard, aye. Hewitt.
Hewitt, aye.
Hewitt, aye. Johnson. Johnson, aye. Jordan.
Jordan, aye.
Jordan, aye. Jurgens.
Jurgens, aye.
Jurgens, aye. Keel.
Keel, aye.
Keel, aye. Cleavorn.
Cleaborn, aye.
Cleavorn, aye. Cagle.
Kago, aye.
Cagle, aye. Katiza Watun.
Katiza Watun, aye.
Katiza Watun, aye. Kosnick.
Cosmic, aye.
Kosnick, aye. Kreshaw.
Krisha, aye.
Kreshaw, aye. Kunish Podine.
Kunesh Podine, aye.
Kunish Podine, aye. Lehman.
Lehman, aye.
Lehman, aye. Lee.
Lee, aye.
Lee, aye. Lesch.
Lesch, aye.
Lesch, aye. Liebling.
Liebling, aye.
Liebling, aye. Lean.
Lane, aye.
Lean, aye. Lilly.
Lily, aye.
Lilly, aye. Lippert.
Lippert, aye.
Lippert, aye. Listagard.
You are unmuted.
Listlegard, aye.
Listagard, aye. Long.
Long, aye.
Long, aye. Lucero.
Lucero, yes.
Lucero, aye. Lewick.
Lewick, aye.
Lewick, aye. Mahoney.
Mahoney, aye.
Mahoney, aye. Mann.
Man, aye.
Mann, aye. Mariani.
Mariani, aye.
Mariani, aye. Markwart.
Markwart, aye.
Markwart, aye. Mason.
Mason, aye.
Mason, aye. McDonald.
McDonald, aye.
McDonald, aye. Mecklin.
Meckland, aye.
Mecklin, aye. Miller.
Miller, aye.
Miller, aye. Moeller.
Moeller, aye.
Moeller, aye. Moran.
Aye. Moran, aye.
Moran, aye. Morrison.
Morrison, aye.
Morrison, aye. Munson. Munson. Murphy.
Murphy, aye.
Murphy, aye. Nash.
Nash, aye.
Nash, aye. Nelson M.
Nelson M. Aye.
Nelson M. aye. Nelson N.
Nelson N, aye.
Nelson N. aye. New. New, aye. Nor.
Nor, aye.
Nor, aye. Nornis.
Nornis, aye.
Nornis, aye. Novotny.
Novotny, aye.
Novotny, aye. O'Driscoll.
O'Driscoll, aye.
O'Driscoll, aye. Olson.
Olson, aye.
Olson, aye. O'Neill.
O'Neill, aye.
O'Neill, aye. Pulowski.
Pulowski, aye.
Pulowski, aye. Purcell.
Purcell, aye.
Purcell, aye. Petersburg.
Petersburg, aye.
Petersburg, aye. Pearson.
Pearson, I.
Pearson, I. Pinto.
Pinto, I.
Pinto, I. Poppe.
Poppe, I.
Poppe, I. Poston.
Poston, I.
Poston, I. Pryor.
Pryor, I.
Pryor, I. Quam.
Quam, I.
Quam, I. Richardson.
Richardson, I.
Richardson, I. Robbins. Robbins, I. Runbeck.
Runbeck, I.
Runbeck, I. Sandell. Sandell.
Sandell, yes.
Sandell, I. Sandsted.
Sandsted, I.
Sandsted, I. Sauk.
Sauk, aye.
Sauk, I. Schumacher.
Schumacher, I.
Schumacher, I. Schultz.
Schultz, I.
Schultz, I. Scott.
Scott, I.
Scott, I. Stevenson.
Stevenson, I.
Stevenson, I. Sundin.
Sundin, I.
Sundin, I. Swazinski.
Swazinski, I.
Swazinski, I. Tabke.
Tabke, I.
Tabke, I. Tice. Tice, I. Torkelson.
Torkelson, I.
Torkelson, I. Erdahl.
Erdahl, I.
Erdahl, I. Vang.
Fang, I.
Vang, I. Vogel.
Vogel, I.
Vogel, I. Wagenius.
Wagenius, I.
Wagenius, I. Waslowick.
Wozlowick, I.
Waslowick, I. West.
West, I.
West, I. Winkler. Winkler, I. Walgamot.
Walgamot, I.
Walgamot, I. Zhang J.
Zhang J, I.
Zhang J, I. Zhang T.
Zhang T, I.
Zhang T, I. Joachim.
Joachim, I.
Joachim, I. Speaker Hartman. Speaker Hartman, I. Munson. Munson.
There being 132 ayes and 2 nays, the bill is passed and its title agreed to. The next bill on the calendar for the day is House File 4605. The clerk will report the bill.
House File number 4605, number 6 on the calendar for the day, an act relating to local government, the first engrossment.
I recognize the member from Hennepin, Representative Freiberg, to explain the bill.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. House File 4605 allows local governments to accept certain documents or signatures electronically during this public health emergency. Minnesota Statute Section 325L, which is also known as the Uniform Electronic Transaction Act, sets out the legislature's intent to allow e-signatures for conduct of legal and official transactions. However, there are significant exceptions under Section 325L.03, including certain transactions relating to planning, zoning, and land use, documents requiring the signature of a licensed architect, engineer, or commercial interior designer, and applications for birth and death certificates. Normally, processing these exceptions in person or utilizing a notary public where allowed would not pose a significant problem or challenge. However, under this COVID-19 pandemic and the resulting stay-at-home orders and social distancing requirements, these functions cannot and should not be performed in person. As such, it makes sense for us to authorize Minnesota's counties to perform some of these more critical functions while honoring the stay-at-home order and the social distancing and gathering restrictions. The best way to allow this is to authorize acceptance of verified identities and e-signatures, facsimiles, or mail transactions only during this declared emergency and only by using existing, proven, and secure means and processes. For some of these government functions, and unless we act, there is currently no alternative to required wet signatures and in-person verification. For others, use of notary public is a valid, legal, and acceptable alternative to in-person visits and wet signatures. However, traditional notarization still requires in-person visits and wet signatures, and Minnesota's new remote online and existing electronic notarization processes, while in place, are not in a position to ramp up to address all of these immediate needs. But Minnesota's notary and electronic transaction statutes do show us how best to ensure and verify identification and securely execute legal documents. So House File 4605 provides local governments with one additional tool with which to address essential government functions during this pandemic. Just to note a few provisions, the bill's language is permissive. It neither requires nor obligates local governments to utilize e-signatures when it doesn't need to. The language is only effective for this declared peacetime health emergency, and the bill does not relax security standards or identification requirements. Counties remain fully obligated to perform and provide at least the same, if not greater, level of verification and security for the proposed activities as are currently required for other electronic transactions. In summary, I point to our recent passage of electronic marriage license applications as a testament to what we can accomplish during a pandemic emergency. That change, as approved by this legislature, is already allowing marriage license applications to be processed electronically and remotely, thus helping to ensure and protect the health and safety of both our citizens and our hardworking local government officials. This is precisely what House File 4605, as amended, will do for other local government services still requiring in-person appearances and wet signatures. I ask for your support for this bill, and I believe there are a couple amendments.
There's an amendment at the desk. The clerk will report the amendment.
Freiberg moves to amend House File number 4605, the first engrossment. The amendment is coded A5.
Representative Freiberg.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. This amendment addresses an omission that was identified by the interior designers. As the bill is drafted on line 1.15, it only applies to documents signed by licensed architects, engineers, and landscape architects. But if you cross-reference the statute that's referenced, there's also land surveyors, geoscientists, and interior designers. So this amendment just cross-references the amendment in its entirety, and I encourage members to support it.
Any discussion to the amendment? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say no. The motion prevails. The amendment is adopted. There's another amendment at the desk. The clerk will report the amendment.
Doubt moves to amend House File number 4605, the first engrossment as amended. The amendment is coded A6.
The member from Isanti, Representative Doubt.
Thank you, Madam Speaker and members. This is just a pretty simple amendment. I think it's fairly non-controversial and makes sense. Obviously, Minnesotans under our statutes have the ability to acquire a permit to carry a handgun. That continues even during this state of peacetime emergency. Right now, our statutes do require an in-person signature, an ink, or what you'd call a wet signature, I guess. This would allow sheriffs the ability to collect that signature electronically if they choose to. Again, the language in the underlying bill is permissive. This would also be permissive, and I think it's a fairly non-controversial amendment. So I'd ask for a yes vote.
Representative Freiberg.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you, Mr. Minority Leader, for the amendment. I agree that it makes some sense on an intellectual level that there be consistency between these processes. As I mentioned in my opening remarks, we've already, however, passed this provision separately in the context of marriage licenses. That had to go through a different committee. This issue came up about a month ago, and I had a conversation with the public safety chair, and it was our opinion that this should be discussed by the public safety committee. Beyond that, however, I had the opportunity to have a conversation with representatives of the sheriffs around the state. They don't take a position on this amendment, just to be clear, but they did raise some issues with the way it's worded. First of all, the permit to carry language, the statute, and I can cite to the exact provision of statute if you wish, but it requires showing up in person and providing an ID. So the amendment may not work in that regard. Beyond that, however, the underlying bill, if you look at the language on line 1.7, it refers only to townships, home rule charter, or statutory cities, or counties. It doesn't actually refer to sheriffs. So I think the way the amendment is worded, it wouldn't actually change anything because it doesn't change what is required for sheriffs. It only applies to certain local governments. Beyond that, I think every county except 2 in Minnesota. The sheriffs have checked with the counties around the state, and all but 2 of them do actually currently continue to accept applications for concealed carry permits. The 2 that don't are Nobles and Dodge County. So it's an interesting idea, but I think the language of the amendment could use some additional work, so I would encourage members to vote no.
Representative Dowd.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and appreciate the feedback. Actually, county sheriffs, of course, are county officers, and they're elected as such in their counties. So the language that calls out counties here certainly would allow a county and a county sheriff to accept these signatures electronically. I also appreciate that you might want to send this to committee, but usually that's what we tell people when we want to kill their bill around here. And this one actually is a really simple thing that I think the good news for us is that all of the members of all of those committees are either here in person or on the phone right now. And this is such a simple concept that I'd like to allow the citizens in those 2 counties that right now are not accepting permit applications, if their sheriffs choose to use this additional tool, I'd like to offer them that tool. Also, in the other 85 counties in the state, I think it's appropriate to give those sheriffs this tool as well, in the event that, yes, they may have found a workaround to meet people in person or something. They may find this will give them a new procedure that might allow them and their staff to be even more safe in this time of a pandemic. So I would continue to ask members to vote yes. I think this one makes a lot of sense. This is a really simple concept. Sheriffs are required to issue these permits even during this peacetime emergency. This gives them one more tool to do this if they like. If a sheriff does not want to use this language is permissive. They do not need to use it. So I'd request a roll call vote as well, Madam Speaker.
Representative Dowd requests a roll call. Are there 15 hands? Seeing and detecting 15 hands, there will be a roll call. The member from Carver, Representative Nash, to the amendment.
And members. Thank you, Madam Speaker and members. I have been doing some work on permit to carry in this time and have spent some time with my own sheriff. And they were one of the very first to open back up once we hit this pandemic. But they've done so in a more limited basis than normal. And in speaking to my sheriff, they would actually welcome something like this in order to be able to process more of the permit to carry requests, because what they've done, and I know a lot of counties have done, have limited the number of hours, and obviously with the lines and the queuing theories that would have to be conducted in order to keep people 6 feet apart, that creates some problems. And I think that this is a very straightforward thing. And in speaking to multiple sheriffs, the in-person request is not even that vital to the conduction of the background check and the processing of the paperwork. So, members, I think this is a very good provision. I appreciate Representative Dowd for bringing this, and I would encourage a green vote.
The member from Wright, Representative Lucero.
Members, I just wanted to thank you, Madam Speaker and members. I believe it was an innocent mistake, but I just wanted to correct Representative Freiberg. In the state of Minnesota here, we do not have a conceal carry permit. We have a permit to carry process. There is no requirement under state law to conceal firearms that might be carried on a person. To the amendment, actually it's an amendment. It's important that we add this on in order to stake out our House position to ensure that people have the right to get the permit under law. And we all know, members, that we can massage the language if necessary in a conference committee, if that's where this is headed, in order to clear up some of the issues that Representative Freiberg brought up in terms of who it directly applies to, or if there are some minor tweaks to the verbiage that needs to occur. So thank you, Madam Speaker.
Any further discussion to the amendment? Seeing none, the clerk will take the roll on the Doubt A6 amendment to the Freiberg bill.
Acom.
Acom, no.
Acom, no. Albright.
Albright, aye.
Albright, aye. Anderson.
Anderson, aye.
Anderson, aye. Backer.
Backer, aye.
Backer, aye. Bonner.
Bonner, no.
Bonner, no. Barr. Barr, aye. Baker.
Baker, aye.
Baker, aye. Becker, Finn.
Becker Finn, no.
Becker, Finn, no. Bennett.
Bennett, aye.
Bennett, aye. Bernardi.
Bernardi, no.
Bernardi, no. Bierman.
Bierman, no.
Bierman, no. Bow. Bow, aye. Brand.
Brand, no.
Brand, no. Cantrell.
Cantrell, no.
Cantrell, no. Carlson, A.
Carlson, A, no.
Carlson, A, no. Carlson, L.
Carlson, L, no.
Carlson, L, no. Christensen.
Christensen, no.
Christensen, no. Claflin.
Claflin, no.
Claflin, no. Considine.
Considine, no.
Considine, no. Daniels.
Daniels, yes.
Daniels, aye. Doubt. Doubt, aye. Davids. Davids, aye. Davney.
No.
Davney, no. Dean.
Dean, no.
Dean, no. Damath.
Damath, aye.
Damath, aye. Detmer. Detmer, aye. Dreskowski.
Truskowski, aye.
Dreskowski, aye. Eklund.
Eklund, no.
Eklund, no. Edelson.
Edelson, no.
Edelson, no. Elkins.
Elkins, no.
Elkins, no. Erickson. Erickson, aye. Fabian.
Fabian, aye.
Fabian, aye. Fisher.
Fisher, no.
Fisher, no. Franzen.
Branson, I.
Franzen, aye. Freiberg. Freiberg, no. Garofalo.
Garofalo, yes.
Garofalo, aye. Gomez.
Gomez, no.
Gomez, no. Green. Green, aye. Grossel.
Grossel, aye.
Grossel, aye. Gruenhagen.
Gruenhagen, aye.
Gruenhagen, aye. Gunther.
Gunther, aye.
Gunther, aye. Haley.
Haley, aye.
Haley, aye. Halverson.
Halverson, no.
Halverson, no. Hamilton.
Hamilton, aye.
Hamilton, aye. Hanson.
Hanson, no.
Hanson, no. Hassan.
Hassan, no.
Hassan, no. Hausman.
Hausman, no.
Hausman, no. Heinrich.
Heinrich, aye.
Heinrich, aye. Heinzman.
Heinzman, aye.
Heinzman, aye. Herr.
Her, no.
Herr, no. Hertos.
Hertos, aye.
Hertos, aye. Hornstein.
Hornstein, no.
Hornstein, no. Howard.
Howard, no.
Howard, no. Hewitt.
Hewitt, no.
Hewitt, no. Johnson. Johnson, aye. Jordan.
Jordan, no.
Jordan, no. Jurgens.
Jurgens, aye.
Jurgens, aye. Keel.
Keel, aye.
Keel, aye. Cleavorn.
Cleavorn, no.
Cleavorn, no. Cagle.
Cagle, no.
Cagle, no. Katiza Wattoon.
Katiza Wattoon, no.
Katiza Wattoon, no. Kosnick.
Cosmic, yes.
Kosnick, aye. Kreshaw.
Grisha, aye.
Kreshaw, aye. Kunish Podine.
Kunish Podine, no.
Kunish Podine, no. Lehman.
Lehman, aye.
Lehman, aye. Lee.
Lee, no.
Lee, no. Lesch.
Lesch, no.
Lesch, no. Liebling.
Liebling, no.
Liebling, no. Lean.
Lean, no.
Lean, no. Lilly.
Lily, no.
Lilly, no. Lippert.
Lippert, no.
Lippert, no. Lislegard.
Lislegard, aye.
Lislegard, aye. Long.
Long, no.
Long, no. Lucero.
Lucero, yes.
Lucero, aye. Lewick.
Lewick, aye.
Lewick, aye. Mahoney.
No.
Mahoney, no. Mann.
Man, no.
Mann, no. Mariani.
Mariani, no.
Mariani, no. Marquardt.
Marquardt, aye.
Marquardt, aye. Mason.
Mason, aye.
Mason, aye. McDonald.
McDonald, aye.
McDonald, aye. Mecklin.
Meckland, aye.
Mecklin, aye. Miller.
Miller, aye.
Miller, aye. Moeller.
Moeller, no.
Moeller, no. Moran.
Moran, no.
Moran, no. Morrison.
Morrison, no.
Morrison, no. Munson.
Munson, aye.
Munson, aye. Murphy.
Murphy, aye.
Murphy, aye. Nash.
Nash, aye.
Nash, aye. Nelson M.
Nelson M. No.
Nelson M, no. Nelson N.
Nelson, N, aye.
Nelson N, aye. New. New, aye. Nor.
No.
Nor, no. Nornis.
Nornis, aye.
Nornis, aye. Novotny.
Navardi, aye.
Novotny, aye. O'Driscoll.
O'Driscoll, aye.
O'Driscoll, aye. Olson.
Olson, no.
Olson, no. O'Neill.
O'Neill, aye.
O'Neill, aye. Pulowski.
Pulowski, aye.
Pulowski, aye. Purcell.
Purcell, no.
Purcell, no. Petersburg.
Petersburg, aye.
Petersburg, aye. Pearson.
Pearson, aye.
Pearson, aye. Pinto.
Pinto, no.
Pinto, no. Poppe.
No.
Poppe, no. Poston.
Poston, aye.
Poston, aye. Pryor.
Pryor, no.
Pryor, no. Quam.
Quam, aye.
Quam, aye. Richardson.
Richardson, no.
Richardson, no. Robbins. Robbins, aye. Runbeck.
Runbeck, aye.
Runbeck, aye. Sandell.
Sandell, no.
Sandell, no. Sandsted.
Sandsted, no.
Sandsted, no. Sauk.
So, no.
Sauk, no. Schumacher.
Schumacher, yes.
Schumacher, aye. Schultz.
Schultz, no.
Schultz, no. Scott.
Yes.
Scott, aye. Stevenson.
Stevenson, no.
Stevenson, no. Sundin.
Sundin, no.
Sundin, no. Swazinski.
Buzinski, yes.
Swazinski, aye. Tabke.
Tabke, no.
Tabke, no. Tice. Tice, aye. Torkelson.
Torkelson, aye.
Torkelson, aye. Erdahl.
Erdahl, aye.
Erdahl, aye. Vang.
Vang, no.
Vang, no. Vogel.
Vogel, aye.
Vogel, aye. Wagenius.
Wagenius, no.
Wagenius, no. Wozlowick.
Wozlowick, no.
Wozlowick, no. West.
West, aye.
West, aye. Winkler. Winkler, no. Walgamot.
Walgamot, no.
Walgamot, no. Zhang Jie.
Young J, no.
Zhang Jie, no. Zhang Ti.
Young T, no.
Zhang Ti, no. Joachim.
Joachim, no.
Joachim, no. Speaker Hartman. Speaker Hartman, no. Mason. Not on? Mason.
Okay.
Mason.
Mason, I votes no.
Mason changes from aye to nay.
Thank you, ma'am.
There being 63 ayes and 71 nays, the motion does not prevail. The amendment is not adopted. There are no further amendments at the desk. The clerk will give the bill its third reading.
Third reading, House File Number 4605, as amended.
Third reading as amended. Discussion to the bill. Representative Freiberg.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. It's a good bill. I would encourage members to vote yes.
Seeing no further discussion, the clerk will take the roll on the bill.
Acom.
Acom, aye.
Acom, aye. Albright.
Albright, aye.
Albright, aye. Anderson.
Anderson, aye.
Anderson, aye. Backer.
Backer, aye.
Backer, aye. Bonner.
Bonner, aye.
Bonner, aye. Barr. Barr, aye. Baker.
Baker, aye.
Baker, aye. Becker, Finn.
Becker Finn, aye.
Becker, Finn, aye. Bennett.
Bennett, aye.
Bennett, aye. Bernardi.
Bernardi, aye.
Bernardi, aye. Bierman.
Bierman, aye.
Bierman, aye. Bow. Bow, aye. Brand.
Brand, aye.
Brand, aye. Cantrell.
Cantrell, aye.
Cantrell, aye. Carlson, A.
Carlson, A, aye.
Carlson, A, aye. Carlson, L.
Carlson, L, aye.
Carlson, L, aye. Christensen.
Christensen, aye.
Christensen, aye. Claflin.
Here, I'm going to do it.
Claflin. Claflin, aye.
Claflin, aye. Considine. Considine. Daniels.
Considine, aye.
Considine, aye. Daniels.
Daniels, aye.
Daniels, aye. Doubt. Doubt, aye. Davids. Davids, aye. Daphne.
Daphne, aye.
Daphne, aye. Dean.
Dean, aye.
Dean, aye. Damath.
Damath, aye.
Damath, aye. Detmer. Detmer, aye. Druskowski.
Gruskowski, aye.
Druskowski, aye. Eklund.
Eklund, aye.
Eklund, aye. Edelson.
Edelson, aye.
Edelson, aye. Elkins.
Elkins, aye.
Elkins, aye. Erickson. Erickson, aye. Fabian.
Fabian, aye.
Fabian, aye. Fisher.
Fisher, aye.
Fisher, aye. Franzen.
Franson, aye.
Franzen, aye. Freiberg. Freiberg, aye. Garofalo.
Garofalo, aye.
Garofalo, aye. Gomez.
Gomez, aye.
Gomez, aye. Green. Green, aye. Grossel.
Grossel, aye.
Grossel, aye. Gruenhagen.
Gruenhagen, aye.
Gruenhagen, aye. Gunther.
Gunther, aye.
Gunther, aye. Haley.
Haley, aye.
Haley, aye. Halverson.
Halverson, aye.
Halverson, aye. Hamilton.
Hamilton, aye.
Hamilton, aye. Hanson.
Hanson, aye.
Hanson, aye. Hassan.
Hassan, aye.
Hassan, aye. Hausman.
Hausman, aye.
Hausman, aye. Heinrich.
Heinrich, aye.
Heinrich, aye. Heinzman. Heinzman.
Heinzman, aye.
Heinzman, aye. Her.
Her, aye.
Her, aye. Hertos.
Hertos, aye.
Hertos, aye. Hornstein.
Hornstein, aye.
Hornstein, aye. Howard.
Howard, aye.
Howard, aye. Hewitt.
Hewitt, aye.
Hewitt, aye. Johnson. Johnson, aye. Jordan.
Jordan, aye.
Jordan, aye. Jurgens.
Jurgens, aye.
Jurgens, aye. Keel.
Keel, aye.
Keel, aye. Cleavorn.
Cleavorn, aye.
Cleavorn, aye. Cagle.
Cagle, aye.
Cagle, aye. Katiza Watun.
Katiza Watun, aye.
Katiza Watun, aye. Kosnick.
Cosmic, aye.
Kosnick, aye. Kreshaw. Kreshaw. Kreshaw, aye. Kunish Podine.
Kunish Podine, aye.
Kunish Podine, aye. Lehman.
Lehman, aye.
Lehman, aye. Lee.
Lee, aye.
Lee, aye. Lesch.
Lesch, aye.
Lesch, aye. Liebling.
Liebling, aye.
Liebling, aye. Lean.
Lean, aye.
Lean, aye. Lilly.
Lily, aye.
Lilly, aye. Lippert.
Lippert, aye.
Lippert, aye. Lislegard.
Lislegard, aye.
Lislegard, aye. Long.
Long, aye.
Long, aye. Lucero.
You are unmuted.
Lucero, yes.
Lucero, aye. Lewick.
Lewick, aye.
Lewick, aye. Mahoney.
Mahoney, aye.
Mahoney, aye. Mann.
Man, aye.
Mann, aye. Mariani.
Mariani, aye.
Mariani, aye. Marquardt.
Marquardt, aye.
Marquardt, aye. Mason.
Mason, aye.
Mason, aye. McDonald.
McDonald, aye.
McDonald, aye. Mecklin.
Meckland, aye.
Mecklin, aye. Miller.
Miller, aye.
Miller, aye. Moeller.
Moeller, aye.
Moeller, aye. Moran.
Moran, aye.
Moran, aye. Morrison.
Morrison, aye.
Morrison, aye. Munson.
Munson, aye.
Munson, aye. Murphy.
Murphy, aye.
Murphy, aye. Nash.
Nash, aye.
Nash, aye. Nelson M.
Nelson M. Aye.
Nelson M, aye. Nelson N.
Nelson N, aye.
Nelson N, aye. New. New, aye. Nor.
Nor, aye.
Nor, aye. Nornis.
Nornis, aye.
Nornis, aye. Novotny.
Novotny, aye.
Novotny, aye. O'Driscoll.
O'Driscoll, aye.
O'Driscoll, aye. Olson.
Olson, aye.
Olson, aye. O'Neill.
O'Neill, aye.
O'Neill, aye. Pulowski.
Pulowski, aye.
Pulowski, aye. Purcell.
Purcell, aye.
Purcell, aye. Petersburg.
Petersburg, aye.
Petersburg, aye. Pearson. Pearson.
Pearson, aye.
Pearson, aye. Pinto.
Pinto, aye.
Pinto, aye. Poppe.
Poppy, aye.
Poppe, aye. Poston.
Poston, aye.
Poston, aye. Pryor.
Pryor, aye.
Pryor, aye. Quam.
Quam, aye.
Quam, aye. Richardson.
Richardson, aye.
Richardson, aye. Robbins. Robbins, aye. Runbeck.
Runback, aye.
Runbeck, aye. Sandell.
Sandell, aye.
Sandell, aye. Sandsted.
Sandsted, aye.
Sandsted, aye. Sauk.
Sauk, aye.
Sauk, aye. Schumacher.
Schumacher, aye.
Schumacher, aye. Schultz.
Schultz, aye.
Schultz, aye. Scott.
Scott, aye.
Scott, aye. Stevenson.
Stevenson, aye.
Stevenson, aye. Sundin.
Sundin, aye.
Sundin, aye. Swazinski.
Swazinski, aye.
Swazinski, aye. Tabke.
Aye.
Tabke.
Tabke, aye.
Tabke, aye. Tice. Tice, aye. Torkelson.
Torkelson, aye.
Torkelson, aye. Erdahl.
Erdahl, aye.
Erdahl, aye. Vang.
Vang, aye.
Vang, aye. Vogel.
Vogel, aye.
Vogel, aye. Wagenius.
Wagenius, aye.
Wagenius, aye. Wozlowick.
Wozlowick, aye.
Wozlowick, aye. West.
West, aye.
West, aye. Winkler. Winkler, aye. Wolgamott.
Wolgamott, aye.
Wolgamott, aye. Zhang J.
Zhang J, aye.
Zhang J, aye. Zhang T.
Zhang T, aye.
Zhang T, aye. Joachim.
Joachim, aye.
Joachim, aye. Speaker Hartman. Speaker Hartman, aye.
There being 134 ayes and 0 nays, the bill is passed as amended and its title agreed to. The next bill on the calendar for the day is Senate File 3072. The clerk will report the bill.
House File number 3072, number 7 on the calendar for the day, an act relating to public safety, the first engrossment.
I recognize the author of the bill, the member from Ramsey, Representative Lesch, to describe the bill.
Thank you, Madam Speaker and members. Senate File 3072 is the Omnibus Judiciary Data Practices Bill. The bill was negotiated between myself, Chair Scott, Chair Limmer, and Senator Latz. All 5 bills in this omnibus bill were vetted during the regular session and moved out of Judiciary, Finance, and Civil Law Committee, and they had bipartisan consensus. The 5 bills have no fiscal cost. The first one is drones, regulating law enforcement's use of drones. Members may recall we've been trying to do this for around about a decade, and all those sessions between 2011 and now, we worked on it with the BCA, the ACLU, Minnesota Coalition on Government Information, and it has broad consensus language with support from all of these groups. The bill requires law enforcement agencies to obtain a search warrant for the use of a drone unless one of the exceptions laid out in the bill applies. These exceptions are during the aftermath of an emergency, over a public event where there is heightened risk, to counter the risk of a terrorist attack, to prevent the loss of life and property in natural or man-made disasters, to conduct a threat assessment, to collect information over a public area if there is reasonable suspicion of criminal activity, for crash reconstruction purposes, for officer training or PR purposes, and for non-law enforcement purposes at the request of a government entity. The bill provides limitations on the use of drones. For example, a facial recognition technology cannot be used unless a warrant is obtained. The version in this omnibus bill provides for actually more transparency than the bill as passed out of the House Judiciary Committee. The additional language requires that law enforcement agencies have written policies on drone use and are subject to public comment on those policies, and where applicable, subject to a public hearing. The data is protected and considered non-public. Law enforcement must delete the data within 7 days unless it's part of an active criminal investigation. And the bill requires law enforcement agencies to document each use of a drone, and the Department of Public Safety must submit an annual report to the legislature. The second bill in the omnibus bill is appeals court opinion criteria for publishing. Those of you who are attorneys know that if you cite a case that is not officially published in the official reporters, when you're submitting a memorandum or a brief to the court, you have to follow a specific procedure, citing it as non-published, and then including a photocopy of the opinion itself. It's kind of a pain, and it's sort of antiquated because it dates from the days when attorneys and judges had all those reporter books with the stripes on them up on their bookshelf behind their desk that they took the pictures in front of. Those are reporters, and all those were contained reported decisions in those books. This recognizes that way of looking at cases has been antiquated, and it allows the courts to remove the restrictions on the type of cases that the Minnesota Court of Appeals can designate as being a published decision. I maintain this is a separation of powers issue as well, because really this should be up to the courts to decide how they want their cases reported to the courts in the case of a legal argument. The third bill is a search warrant required for electronic communication information. That's Section 4. This is a consensus bill. The ACLU supports the bill as well. It allows law enforcement agencies to access your emails and texts without a warrant if they're 6 months or older. This closes that loophole and makes it clear that law enforcement agencies need to get a warrant for the content of your emails, regardless of how old they are. So now you got to get a warrant if you got older emails. There was that old antiquated provision about the 6 months or older. Now that's off the table. This fixes it and says they got to get a warrant no matter how old they are. The fourth bill in the omnibus bill concerns electronic tracking warrants. Those of you who may recall the old Kingfisher and Stingray debates from 2010 to 2012, we created a legal entity called a tracking warrant. And there were some issues related to the reporting of those tracking warrants. The purpose of them was to make sure that we were able to know when people's locations were being tracked. What happened after that, in the years after, was that law enforcement applied for these warrants under the aegis of federal law, under other state law. Those provisions in those warrants and the affidavits submitted to the court by law enforcement for those warrants were all private. They were not public. So when the application for the warrant and the affidavit went to a judge, the judge would seal all of it, because the judge would say, well, I can't parse this between which is public and which isn't. So this resolves that issue. It states that location tracking warrants for electronic devices have their own restrictions and requirements, and it exempts location tracking warrants from the other filing, sealing, and reporting requirements that apply to two different types of warrants for interception of wire, electronic or oral communications, and pen register and trap and trace warrants. The fifth and final bill in the omnibus bill is the scope of location tracking warrants. So this is a request from the BCA. They've run into situations when certain companies fail to comply with the warrant or administrative subpoena, suggesting that the language did not include their technology. One example was Snapchat. Snapchat was not complying with the warrant, arguing that it was not an electronic device. So fine, whatever. This section fixes that loophole in current law by expanding the scope to include identifying information associated with a single entity or account within an application or services that may be used on multiple devices like Snapchat, Facebook, Twitter. And it adds the notion of that unique identifier. I repeat, members, that this is a consensus bill. It's bipartisan, bicameral, and I would ask for your support.
There's an amendment at the desk. The clerk will report the amendment.
Barr moves to amend Senate File Number 3072. The first engrossment. The amendment is coded A20-0787.
I recognize the member from Anoka, Representative Barr, to your amendment.
Thank you, Madam Speaker and members. I rise today to discuss what is Section 4 in the bill before us, the warrantless searches. The amendment specifically deals with state government buying data on the open market from your use of your cell phone. Currently, I am well aware that I confirmed that Met Council is buying data on your cell phone to see if you're in the park. They measure park usage via cell phone data. Department of Transportation uses it to see if you're speeding through their construction zones. I'm kind of curious just exactly how many other places our government is using our cell phone data and how they're tracking us without a warrant. While this is technically metadata, it is only a small jump from metadata to individual tracking when we have this capability already. And I do realize that this is technically a bill out of order, as the statute that's being changed is not actually addressed in the bill before us. So I will be withdrawing the amendment, but I did want to bring this up and continue the conversation around the wireless or the data the government is using without obtaining a search warrant first. With that, I'd like to withdraw the amendment, please.
Representative Barr withdraws his amendment. There are no further amendments at the desk. The clerk will give the bill its third reading.
Third reading, Senate File Number 3072.
Third reading. Discussion. The member from Anoka, Representative Scott.
Muted.
Representative Scott.
Madam Chair, I just wanted to encourage a yes vote on this bill. Many parts of this bill have been worked on for 2 years with stakeholders. It's gone through the Legislative Commission on Data Practices. And so thank you to Chair Lesch and the other members that helped
reach agreement on this bill. And so I would just encourage a yes vote to members. Thank you.
Further discussion to the bill. Representative Lesch.
Thank you, Madam Speaker and members. I'd reiterate what was stated by Chair Scott, that these are consensus provisions. I did not get everything that I wanted in this bill, but I appreciated the willingness of Chair Scott and other Republicans to work with us on to make sure that we got some of these really important provisions finally done. Yes, some of these have been worked on for 2 years, but some of them have been worked on for darn near 10 years, and finally getting them done is very welcome. So thank you. I ask for your aye vote.
Hearing no further discussion, the clerk will take the roll on Senate File 3072.
Acom.
Acom, aye.
Acom, aye. Albright.
Albright, aye.
Albright, aye. Anderson.
Anderson, aye.
Anderson, aye. Backer.
Backer, aye.
Backer, aye. Bonner.
Bonner, aye.
Bonner, aye. Barr. Barr, no. Baker.
Baker, aye.
Baker, aye. Becker, Finn.
Becker Finn, aye.
Becker, Finn, aye. Bennett.
Bennett, aye.
Bennett, aye. Bernardi.
Bernardi, aye.
Bernardi, aye. Bierman.
Bierman, aye.
Bierman, aye. Bow. 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 Brand.
Brand, aye.
Brand, aye. Cantrell. Cantrell.
Cantrell, aye.
Cantrell, aye. Carlson, A.
Carlson, A, aye.
Carlson, A, aye. Carlson, L.
Carlson L, aye.
Carlson, L, aye. Christensen.
Christensen, aye.
Christensen, aye. Claflin.
Claflin, aye.
Claflin, aye. Considine.
Considine, aye.
Considine, aye. Daniels.
Daniels, aye.
Daniels, aye. Doubt. Doubt, aye. Davids. Davids, aye. Davney.
Dabney, aye.
Davney, aye. Dean.
Dean, aye.
Dean, aye. Damuth.
Damuth, aye.
Damuth, aye. Detmer. Detmer, aye. Driscollowski.
Truskowski, aye.
Driscollowski, aye. Eklund.
Eklund, aye.
Eklund, aye. Edelson.
Edelson, aye.
Edelson, aye. Elkins.
Elkins, aye.
Elkins, aye. Erickson. Erickson, aye. Fabian.
Fabian, aye.
Fabian, aye. Fisher. Fisher.
Fisher, aye.
Fisher, aye. Franzen.
Franson, aye.
Franzen, aye. Freiberg. Freiberg, aye. Garofalo.
Aye.
Garofalo.
Garofalo, aye.
Garofalo, aye. Gomez.
Gomez, aye.
Gomez, aye. Green. Green, aye. Grossel.
Grossel, aye.
Grossel, aye. Gruenhagen.
Gruenhagen, aye.
Gruenhagen, aye. Gunther.
Gunther, aye.
Gunther, aye. Haley.
Haley, aye.
Haley, aye. Halverson.
Halverson, aye.
Halverson, aye. Hamilton.
Hamilton, aye.
Hamilton, aye. Hanson.
Hanson, aye.
Hanson, aye. Hassan. Hassan. Hausman.
Hausman, aye.
Hausman, aye. Heinrich.
Heinrich, aye.
Heinrich, aye. Heinzman.
Heinzman, aye.
Heinzman, aye. Her. Her. Hertos.
Hertos, aye.
Hertos, aye. Hornstein.
Hornstein, aye.
Hornstein, aye. Howard.
Howard, aye.
Howard, aye. Hewitt.
They're coming out of their houses with
Hewitt.
Hewitt, aye.
Hewitt, aye. Johnson. Johnson, aye. Jordan.
Jordan, aye.
Jordan, aye. Jurgens.
Jurgens, aye.
Jurgens, aye. Keel.
Keel, aye.
Keel, aye. Cleavorn.
Yeah.
Cleaborn, aye.
Cleavorn, aye. Cagle.
Cagle, aye.
Cagle, aye. Katiza Wattoon.
Katiza Wattoon, aye.
Katiza Wattoon, aye. Kosnick.
Cosmic, aye.
Kosnick, aye. Kreshaw.
Grisha, aye.
Kreshaw, aye. That wasn't, yeah.
Members, please
Grisha, aye. Yes,
only
that was Grisha.
respond when your name is called.
Kreshaw.
Grisha, aye.
Kreshaw, aye. Kunish Podine.
Kunish Podine, aye.
Kunish Podine, aye. Lehman.
Lehman, aye.
Lehman, aye. Lee.
Lee, aye.
Lee, aye. Lesch.
Lesch, aye.
Lesch, aye. Liebling.
Liebling, aye.
Liebling, aye. Lean.
Lean, aye.
Lean, aye. Lilly.
Lily, aye.
Lilly, aye. Lippert.
Lippert, aye.
Lippert, aye. Listlegard.
Listlegard, aye.
Listlegard, aye. Long.
Long, aye.
Long, aye. Lucero.
Lucero, yes.
Lucero, aye. Lewick.
Lewick, aye.
Lewick, aye. Mahoney.
Mahoney, aye.
Mahoney, aye. Mann.
Man, aye.
Mann, aye. Mariani.
Mariani, aye.
Mariani, aye. Markwart.
Markwart, aye.
Markwart, aye. Mason.
Mason, aye.
Mason, aye. McDonald.
McDonald, aye.
McDonald, aye. Mecklin.
Meckland, aye.
Mecklin, aye. Miller.
Miller, aye.
Miller, aye. Moeller.
Moeller, aye.
Moeller, aye. Moran.
Sorry, Moran, aye.
Moran, aye. Morrison.
Morrison, aye.
Morrison, aye. Munson.
Munson, no.
Munson, no. Murphy.
Murphy, aye.
Murphy, aye. Nash.
Nash, aye.
Nash, aye. Nelson, M.
Nelson M, aye.
Nelson, M, aye. Nelson, N.
Nelson, N, aye.
Nelson, N, aye. New. New, aye. Nor.
Nor, aye.
Nor, aye. Nornis.
Nornis, aye.
Nornis, aye. Novotny.
Novotny, aye.
Novotny, aye. O'Driscoll.
O'Driscoll, yes.
O'Driscoll, aye. Olson.
Olson, aye.
Olson, aye. O'Neill.
O'Neill, aye.
O'Neill, aye. Pulowski.
Pulowski, aye.
Pulowski, aye. Purcell.
Purcell, aye.
Purcell, aye. Petersburg.
Petersburg, aye.
Petersburg, aye. Pearson.
Pearson, aye.
Pearson, aye. Pinto.
Pinto, aye.
Pinto, aye. Poppe.
Poppe, aye.
Poppe, aye. Poston.
Poston, aye.
Poston, aye. Pryor.
Pryor, aye.
Pryor, aye. Quam.
Quam, aye.
Quam, aye. Richardson.
Richardson, aye.
Richardson, aye. Robbins. Robbins, aye. Runbeck.
Runbeck, aye.
Runbeck, aye. Sandell.
Sandell, aye.
Sandell, aye. Sandsted.
Sandsted, aye.
Sandsted, aye. Sauk.
Oak, aye.
Sauk, aye. Schumacher.
Schumacher, aye.
Schumacher, aye. Schultz.
Schultz, aye.
Schultz, aye. Scott.
Scott, aye.
Scott, aye. Stevenson. Stevenson. Sundin.
Sundin, aye.
Sundin, aye. Swazinski.
Swazinski, aye.
Swazinski, aye. Tabke.
Tabke, aye.
Tabke, aye. Tice. Tice. Tice, aye. Torkelson.
Torkelson, aye.
Torkelson, aye. Erdahl.
Erdahl, aye.
Erdahl, aye. Vang.
Vang, aye.
Vang, aye. Vogel.
Vogel, aye.
Vogel, aye. Wagenius.
Wagenius, aye.
Wagenius, aye. Wozlowick.
Wozlowick, aye.
Wozlowick, aye. West.
West, aye.
West, aye. Winkler. Winkler, aye. Wolgamott.
Wolgamott, aye.
Wolgamott, aye. Zhang Jie.
Zhang Jie, aye.
Zhang Jie, aye. Zhang T.
Zhang T, aye.
Zhang T, aye. Joachim.
Joachim, aye.
Joachim, aye. Speaker Hortman. Speaker Hortman, aye. Bull. Bull, aye. Hassan. Hassan. Her.
Her, aye.
Her, aye. Stevenson.
Stevenson, aye.
Stevenson, aye.
There being 131 ayes and 2 nays, the bill is passed and its title agreed to. The next bill on the calendar for the day is House File 4137. The clerk will report the bill.
House File number 4137, number 8 on the calendar for the day, an act relating to public safety, the first engrossment.
I recognize the author of the bill, the member from Ramsey, Representative Pinto.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Members, House File 4137 addresses a significant concern with our state's harassment and stalking laws. Portions of these laws were struck down as unconstitutional last fall by the state Supreme Court. A short time later, the State Court of Appeals struck down another portion. And the same reasoning that they used may well be used to strike down the rest of the law as well. And it should go without saying for all of us, this is scary stuff. We need to have a way to hold harassers and stalkers accountable. And at the moment, we've got one arm tied behind our back, and soon we'll have two. So this bill fixes the concerns addressed by the courts. It does so by drawing on some language in federal law that was quoted favorably in the court opinions. It increases the requirement that the offenders intend to be taken into account, and increases the standard that would be used, and tightens the laws in ways that respond to the court's concerns. I want to thank Representative O'Neill for working through some language concerns in the bill, and thank Representative Moeller for her wise counsel in putting it together as well. As I said, it's really important that we address this, and I think we have a very strong bill to do so.
There are no amendments at the desk. The clerk will give the bill its third reading.
Third reading, House File number 4137.
Third reading, discussion. The member from Wright, Representative O'Neill.
Thank you, Madam Speaker and members. I just want to let the body know that there were concerns when the bill came to a couple of our committees. And I just want to thank Representative Pinto for working through those concerns with me. It took some time, but I think we got it right. And those that were in opposition to it are now supportive of the bill. And I'll just briefly let the members know quickly what those couple changes were that brought us into a place where all can agree, including Violence Free Minnesota are in agreement with the language as it stands, as are some of the gun groups out there. So that's an interesting combination of folks that all came together to put together language that actually works for everybody. It was apparent that we needed to clearly define what substantial emotional distress is, because it's not defined in our statutes, and this was pulled from some federal language. And so we did define that. And it's a pretty high bar. It has language like seeking psychotherapy, which of course is our word in our statutes to define if you're seeking counsel, therapy, or counseling. It also talks about that you've been diagnosed with a mental health condition and some other parameters that are similar to that, like loss of sleep or appetite, which is a part of a diagnosis of major depressive disorder. It also has a component within that that talks about that you have a loss of concentration that results in a loss of productivity. Again, a subpart of a mental health condition that can be diagnosed. So it gives the court some parameters as to what substantial emotional distress actually is. The other thing that I would point out is that because this has a tie to the prohibited person statutes, it was very important for all of the parties at the table to come to agreement on language. And we did go into some existing statute that talked about that one merely needed to possess a dangerous weapon in the commission of the crime, as in you were committing the crime and you happen to possess it somewhere. So you could have a can of gasoline in your garage, or you could have knives in your house, but you didn't actually have to use it in the commission of the crime. And so we updated that language so it's more reflective of the rest of the statute. So now it basically says it's used in the commission of a crime. So if you use a dangerous weapon in commission of the crime, it is then a felony. So I want to thank Representative Pinto, and I would encourage a green vote. Thank you, members.
Further discussion. Representative Pinto.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And members, as Representative O'Neill made reference, you do have a letter in front of you that's provided by Violence Free Minnesota and the Minnesota Coalition Against Sexual Assault, our state's leading advocacy organizations for victims of gender violence, and they're urging support, and it also has the support of the Minnesota Coalition of Minnesota County Attorneys Association, pardon me. I do want to just give a shout out to Ben Johnson and in-house research who did some really terrific work in addressing some of the issues that Representative O'Neill referenced. And with that, members, again, this is a really important issue, and I would urge you to provide a green vote. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Hearing no further discussion, the clerk will take the roll on House File 4137.
Acom.
Acom, aye.
Acom, aye. Albright.
Albright, aye.
Albright, aye. Anderson.
Anderson, aye.
Anderson, aye. Backer.
Backer, aye.
Backer, aye. Bonner.
Bonner, aye.
Bonner, aye. Barr. Barr, no. Baker.
Baker, aye.
Baker, aye. Becker, Finn.
Becker Finn, aye.
Becker, Finn, aye. Bennett.
Bennett, aye.
Bennett, aye. Bernardi.
Bernardi, aye.
Bernardi, aye. Bierman.
Bierman, aye.
Bierman, aye. Bow. Bow, pass. Brand.
Aye.
Brand, aye. Cantrell.
Cantrell, aye.
Cantrell, aye. Carlson, A.
Carlson, A, aye.
Carlson, A, aye. Carlson, L.
Carlson L, aye.
Carlson, L, aye. Christensen.
Christensen, aye.
Christensen, aye. Claflin.
Claflin, aye.
Claflin, aye. Considine.
Considine, aye.
Considine, aye. Daniels.
Daniels, aye.
Daniels, aye. Doubt. Doubt, aye. Davids. Davids, aye. Davney.
Dabney, aye.
Davney, aye. Dean.
Dean, aye.
Dean, aye. Damath.
Damath, aye.
Damath, aye. Detmer. Detmer, aye. Drazkowski. Drazkowski. Eklund.
Eklund, aye.
Eklund, aye. Edelson.
Edelson, aye.
Edelson, aye. Elkins.
Elkins, aye.
Elkins, aye. Erickson. Erickson, aye. Fabian.
Fabian, aye.
Fabian, aye. Fisher.
Fisher, aye.
Fisher, aye. Franzen.
Franson, aye.
Franzen, aye. Freiberg. Freiberg, aye. Garofalo.
Garofalo, aye.
Garofalo, aye. Gomez.
Gomez, aye.
Gomez, aye. Green. Green, aye. Grossel.
Rossel, aye.
Grossel, aye. Grunhagen.
Grunehagen, aye.
Grunhagen, aye. Gunther.
Gunther, aye.
Gunther, aye. Haley. Haley. Halverson.
Halverson, aye.
Halverson, aye. Hamilton.
Hamilton, aye.
Hamilton, aye. Hanson.
Hanson, aye.
Hanson, aye. Hassan.
Hassan, aye.
Hassan, aye. Hausman.
Hausman, aye.
Hausman, aye. Heinrich.
Heinrich, aye.
Heinrich, aye. Heinzman.
Heinzman, aye.
Heinzman, aye. Herr.
Her, aye.
Herr, aye. Hertos.
Hertos, aye.
Hertos, aye. Hornstein.
Hornstein, aye.
Hornstein, aye. Howard.
Howard, aye.
Howard, aye. Hewitt.
Hewitt, aye.
Hewitt, aye. Johnson. Johnson, aye. Jordan.
Jordan, aye.
Jordan, aye. Jurgens.
Jurgens, aye.
Jurgens, aye. Keel.
Keel, aye.
Keel, aye. Cleavorn.
Cleavorn, aye.
Cleavorn, aye. Cagle.
Cagle, aye.
Cagle, aye. Katuza-Watine.
Katiza Watoon, aye.
Katiza-Watune, aye. Kosnick.
Cosmic, aye.
Kosnick, aye. Creshaw.
Grishaw, aye.
Creshaw, aye. Kunish-Podine.
Kunish Podine, aye.
Kunish-Podine, aye. Lehman.
Lehman, aye.
Lehman, aye. Lee.
Lee, aye.
Lee, aye. Lesch.
Lesch, aye.
Lesch, aye. Liebling.
Liebling, aye.
Liebling, aye. Lean.
Lean, aye.
Lean, aye. Lilly.
Lily, aye.
Lilly, aye. Lippert.
Lippert, aye.
Lippert, aye. Lislegard.
Listlegard, aye.
Lislegard, aye. Long.
Long, aye.
Long, aye. Lucero.
Lucero, yes.
Lucero, aye. Lewick.
Lewick, aye.
Lewick, aye. Mahoney.
Mahoney, aye.
Mahoney, aye. Mann.
Man, aye.
Mann, aye. Mariani.
Mariani, aye.
Mariani, aye. Marquardt.
Marquardt, aye.
Marquardt, aye. Mason.
Mason, aye.
Mason, aye. McDonald.
McDonald, aye.
McDonald, aye. Mecklen.
Meckland, aye.
Mecklen, aye. Miller.
Miller, aye.
Miller, aye. Moeller.
Moeller, aye.
Moeller, aye. Moran.
Moran, aye.
Moran, aye. Morrison.
Morrison, aye.
Morrison, aye. Munson.
Munson, no.
Munson, no. Murphy.
Murphy, aye.
Murphy, aye. Nash.
Nash, aye.
Nash, aye. Nelson, M.
Nelson M, aye.
Nelson, M, aye. Nelson, N.
Nelson N, aye.
Nelson, N, aye. New. New, aye. Nor.
Nor, aye.
Nor, aye. Nornis.
Nornis, aye.
Nornis, aye. Novotny.
Novotny, aye.
Novotny, aye. O'Driscoll.
O'Driscoll, aye.
O'Driscoll, aye. Olson.
Olson, aye.
Olson, aye. O'Neill.
O'Neill, aye.
O'Neill, aye. Pulowski.
Pulowski, aye.
Pulowski, aye. Purcell.
Purcell, aye.
Purcell, aye. Petersburg.
Petersburg, aye.
Petersburg, aye. Pearson.
Pearson, aye.
Pearson, aye. Pinto.
Pinto, aye.
Pinto, aye. Poppe.
Poppy, aye.
Poppe, aye. Poston.
Poston, aye.
Poston, aye. Pryor.
Pryor, aye.
Pryor, aye. Quam.
Quam, aye.
Quam, aye. Richardson.
Richardson, aye.
Richardson, aye. Robbins. Robbins, aye. Runbeck.
Runbeck, aye.
Runbeck, aye. Sandell.
Sandell, aye.
Sandell, aye. Sandsted.
Sandsted, aye.
Sandsted, aye. Sauk.
Sauk, aye.
Sauk, aye. Schumacher.
Schumacher, aye.
Schumacher, aye. Schultz.
Schultz, aye.
Schultz, aye. Scott.
Scott, aye.
Scott, aye. Stevenson.
Stevenson, aye.
Stevenson, aye. Sundin.
Sundin, aye.
Sundin, aye. Swazinski.
Swazinski, aye.
Swazinski, aye. Tabke.
Tabke, aye.
Tabke, aye. Tice. Tice, aye. Torkelson.
Torkelson, aye.
Torkelson, aye. Erdahl.
Erdahl, aye.
Erdahl, aye. Vang.
Vang, aye.
Vang, aye. Vogel.
Vogel, aye.
Vogel, aye. Wagenius.
Wagenius, aye.
Wagenius, aye. Wozlowick.
Wozlowick, aye.
Wozlowick, aye. West.
West, aye.
West, aye. Winkler. Winkler, aye. Walgamot.
Walgamot, aye.
Walgamot, aye. Zhang J.
Zhang J, aye.
Zhang J, aye. Zhang T.
Young T, aye.
Zhang T, aye. Joachim.
Joachim, aye.
Joachim, aye. Speaker Hortman. Speaker Hortman, aye. Bo. Bo, aye. Drazkowski. Drazkowski.
Drazkowski, no.
Drazkowski, no. Haley.
Haley, aye.
Haley, aye.
There being 131 ayes and 3 nays, the bill is passed and its title agreed to. This was on top. Should I give you both of them at the same time?
Give that first, yeah.
Okay.
Non-controversial ones, yep.
Motions and resolutions. There are copies of the non-controversial motions online. If there are no objections, we will take action on those motions first. Hearing no objection, the motions prevail.
Pursuant to Article 4, Section 19 of the Constitution of the State of Minnesota, Green moves that the rule therein be suspended and an urgency be declared, and that the rules of the House be so far suspended so that House File number 4648 be recalled from the Committee on Government Operations, be given its second, third readings, and be placed upon its final passage.
I recognize the member from Monoman, Representative Green, for your motion.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The bill that will be coming up shortly is a bill that will allow Minnesotans to reestablish the legislature as the co-equal branch of government it was meant to be. It's in response to the governor's repeated use of unilateral powers that has revealed serious flaws in our system. And Madam Speaker, before I describe the bill, I would like to ask for a roll call.
Representative Green requests a roll call on his motion to declare an urgency and suspend the rules. Seeing 15 hands and knowing that there are 15 hands on the line, there will be a roll call. Representative Green.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. House File 4648 would ask the citizens of Minnesota whether our state's constitution should be amended to require legislative approval for a governor to extend his emergency powers beyond 7 days. If the legislature is not in session, the governor would need to call a special session to gain legislative approval for an extension of emergency powers up to 30 days. While it would not immediately help our situation, we still need to deal with that. It would allow Minnesotans to decide if the people they elected should do their job, and it is our job. This would be an improvement over the current situation. As we have witnessed, the governor can repeatedly extend his emergency powers even during session, so long as the legislature does not stop him. To this point, the House majority has been unwilling to check the governor's powers and participate in the decision-making process. We all agree swift action from the governor is important if a crisis arises. My bill would still provide that initial window for immediate action, but there also needs to be limits. The governor has been ruling by executive order for nearly 2 months. He has issued more than 50 executive orders since first declaring a peacetime emergency on March 13th. That's more than 50 dictatorial decisions which impact each and every Minnesotan. My bill would allow Minnesotans to prevent this injustice from being committed by future governors or anyone into the future. Minnesotans deserve to know that they have representation. Their legislature is accountable to them. They have put their faith in us, and they expect us to shoulder these responsibilities. Hard decisions should not be made by one man. It's unacceptable to sit on the sidelines and allow one person to wield this kind of power. It completely undermines our system of representative government. So I'm asking the House of Representatives today to vote to suspend the rules, to take up this bill, to give Minnesotans a chance to express their input on this issue. There would be a ballot question that I will go into after everybody votes yes. So I'd appreciate a yes vote on the suspension of the rules, Madam Speaker.
Discussion to the motion. Representative Winkler.
Madam Speaker, I will ask members to vote no. Representative Green, if this were so urgent, you could at least have requested a hearing in the Government Operations Committee where the bill is sitting, but you haven't done that. Members, the powers the governor is exercising are legal, valid, and granted to him by the Minnesota House of Representatives and the Minnesota Senate. Furthermore, if you were so concerned about this in the past, you could have at any time have introduced bills rather than doing so in the middle of a crisis, which the governor is currently managing. Nobody, of course, is perfect. Nobody can do this flawlessly. We have a role of oversight. We have a role in providing funding. We have a role in providing oversight over his actions, and we will continue to do so. The legislature in a crisis is as relevant as it makes itself. And thus far, we are not seeing, as we wind down the end of this session on issues like bonding, emergency housing relief, emergency relief for small businesses, standing by our public employees, on issue after issue after issue, we are not seeing both sides making themselves relevant on the issues. We have to be willing to compromise, we have to be willing to come together, and we have to be willing to govern, not just throw bombs and play games. So members, I would ask you to vote no and get to work on the serious business in front of this body and in front of the state of Minnesota today.
Further discussion. Representative Green.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And to those points, this is a serious issue, and I have had numerous bills up that I've requested hearings on all of them and not received any. And I had a previous bill for a constitutional amendment, didn't receive a hearing on that as well. Session is winding down. And when this crisis started, we never expected it to continue on as long as it has. This is an abuse of power, and what we're deciding here today is, are we going to allow for a fascist style of government or a representative style of government? One person rule does not work in this country. And I'm hearing from all across my district and even outside of my district where people have just had enough. And they do not like the way the system is working. They can't believe we're allowing one person to make all these decisions. So I would ask for a yes vote on this motion.
Any further discussion to the motion? Seeing none, the clerk will take the roll on the motion.
Acom.
Acom, no.
Acom, no. Albright.
Albright, aye.
Albright, aye. Anderson.
Anderson, aye.
Anderson, aye. Backer.
Backer, aye.
Backer, aye. Bonner.
Bonner, nay.
Bonner, no. Barr. Barr, aye. Baker.
Baker, aye.
Baker, aye. Becker, Finn.
Becker, Finn, no.
Becker, Finn, no. Bennett.
Bennett, aye.
Bennett, aye. Bernardi.
Bernardi, aye.
Bernardi, aye. Bierman.
No.
Bierman.
No.
Bierman.
Bierman, no.
Bierman, no. Bow. Bow, aye. Brand.
Brand, no.
Brand, no. Cantrell.
Cantrell, no.
Cantrell, no. Carlson, A.
Carlson, A, no.
Carlson, A, no. Carlson, L.
I'm up.
Carlson, L.
No.
Carlson, L. No. Christensen.
Christensen, no.
Christensen, no. Claflin.
Claflin, no.
Claflin, no. Considine.
Considine, no.
Considine, no. Daniels.
Daniels, yes.
Daniels, aye. Doubt. Doubt, aye. Davids. Davids, aye. Davney.
Dabney votes no.
Davney, no. Dean.
Dean, no.
Dean, no. Damath.
Damus votes aye.
Damath, aye. Detmer. Detmer, aye. Driscowski.
Truskowski, aye.
Driscowski, aye. Eklund.
Eklund, no.
Eklund, no. Edelson.
Edelson, no.
Edelson, no. Elkins.
Elkins, no.
Elkins, no. Erickson. Erickson, aye. Fabian.
Fabian, aye.
Fabian, aye. Fisher.
Fisher, no.
Fisher, no. Franzen.
Franson, aye.
Franzen, aye. Freiberg. Freiberg, no. Garofalo.
yes. Garoppolo, yes.
Garofalo, aye. Gomez.
Gomez, no.
Gomez, no. Green. Green, aye. Grossel.
Grossel, aye.
Grossel, aye. Grunhagen.
Grunegan, aye.
Grunhagen, aye. Gunther.
Gunther, aye.
Gunther, aye. Haley.
Haley, aye.
Haley, aye. Halverson.
Halverson, no.
Halverson, no. Hamilton.
Hamilton, aye.
Hamilton, aye. Hanson.
Hanson, no.
Hanson, no. Hassan.
Hassan, no.
Hassan, no. Hausman.
Houseman, no.
Hausman, no. Heinrich.
Heinrich, aye.
Heinrich, aye. Heinzman.
Heinzman, aye.
Heinzman, aye. Her.
Her, no.
Her, no. Hertos.
Hertos, aye.
Hertos, aye. Hornstein.
Hornstein, no.
Hornstein, no. Howard.
Howard, no.
Howard, no. Hewitt.
Hewitt, no.
Hewitt, no. Johnson. Johnson, aye. Jordan.
Jordan, no.
Jordan, no. Jurgens.
Jurgens, aye.
Jurgens, aye. Keel.
Keel, aye.
Keel, aye. Cleavorn.
Cleaborn, no.
Cleavorn, no. Cagle.
Cagle, no.
Cagle, no. Katiza Watun.
Katiza Watun, no.
Katiza Watun, no. Kosnick.
Kosnick, aye.
Kosnick, aye. Creshaw.
Creshaw, aye.
Creshaw, aye. Kunish Podine.
Kunish Podine, no.
Kunish Podine, no. Lehman.
Lehman, aye.
Lehman, aye. Lee.
Lee, no.
Lee, no. Lesch.
Lesch, no.
Lesch, no. Liebling.
Liebling, no.
Liebling, no. Lean.
Lean, no.
Lean, no. Lilly.
Lily, no.
Lilly, no. Lippert.
Lippert, no.
Lippert, no. Listlegard.
Listlegard, no.
Listlegard, no. Long.
Long, no.
Long, no. Lucero.
Lucero, yes.
Lucero, aye. Lewick.
Lewick, aye.
Lewick, aye. Mahoney.
Mahoney, no.
Mahoney, no. Mann.
Man, no.
Mann, no. Mariani.
Mariani, no.
Mariani, no. Markwart.
Markwart, aye.
Markwart, aye. Mason.
Mason, no.
Mason, no. McDonald.
McDonald, yes.
McDonald, aye. Mecklin.
Meckland, aye.
Mecklin, aye. Miller.
Miller, aye.
Miller, aye. Moeller.
Moeller, no.
Moeller, no. Moran.
Moran, no.
Moran, no. Morrison.
Morrison, no.
Morrison, no. Munson.
Munson, aye.
Munson, aye. Murphy.
Murphy, no.
Murphy, no. Nash.
Nash, aye.
Nash, aye. Nelson M.
Nelson M. No.
Nelson M, no. Nelson N.
Nelson N, aye.
Nelson N, aye. New. New, aye. Nor.
No.
Nor.
No.
Nor, no. Nornis.
Nornis, aye.
Nornis, aye. Novotny.
Novotny, aye.
Novotny, aye. O'Driscoll.
O'Driscoll, aye.
O'Driscoll, aye. Olson.
Olson, no.
Olson, no. O'Neill.
O'Neill, aye.
O'Neill, aye. Pulowski.
Pulowski, no.
Pulowski, no. Purcell.
Purcell, no.
Purcell, no. Petersburg.
Petersburg, aye.
Petersburg, aye. Pearson. Pearson. Pinto.
Pearson, aye.
Pearson, aye. Pinto.
Pinto, no.
Pinto, no.
Pinto, no.
Poppe.
Poppe, no.
Poppe, no. Poston.
Poston, aye.
Poston, aye. Pryor.
Pryor, no.
Pryor, no. Quam.
Quam, aye.
Quam, aye. Richardson.
Richardson, no.
Richardson, no. Robbins. Robbins, aye. Runbeck.
Runback, aye.
Runbeck, aye. Sandell.
Sandell, no.
Sandell, no. Sandsted.
Samstead, no.
Sandsted, no. Sauk.
Sauk, no.
Sauk, no. Schumacher.
Schumacher, yes.
Schumacher, aye. Schultz.
Schultz, no.
Schultz, no. Scott.
Scott, aye.
Scott, aye. Stevenson.
Stevenson, no.
Stevenson, no. Sundin.
Sundin, no.
Sundin, no. Swazinski.
Swazinski, aye.
Swazinski, aye. Tabke.
Tabke, no.
Tabke, no. Tice. Tice, aye. Torkelson.
Torkelson, aye.
Torkelson, aye. Erdahl.
Erdahl, aye.
Erdahl, aye. Vang.
Vang, no.
Vang, no. Vogel.
Vogel, aye.
Vogel, aye. Wagenius.
Wagenius, no.
Wagenius, no. Wozlowick.
Wozlowick, no.
Wozlowick, no. West.
West, aye.
West, aye. Winkler. Winkler, no. Walgamot.
Walgamot, no.
Walgamot, no. Zhang J.
Zhang J, no.
Zhang J, no. Zhang T.
Zhang T, no.
Zhang T, no. Joachim.
Joachim, no.
Joachim, no. Speaker Hartman. Speaker Hartman, no. Bernardi.
Bernardi, no. Bernardi, no.
Bernardi changes from aye to nay.
There being 60 ayes and 74 nays, the motion does not prevail. Members, we just received 5 committee reports. It will take about a half an hour for processing. We can recess and reconvene, or we can just wait for the processing. We'll just hang out. Without objection, we will revert to reports of standing committees and divisions. There are copies of this order of business online. If there are no objections, the reports will be adopted. Hearing no objection, the reports are adopted. Second reading of House files.
Second reading House File number 2529.
Second reading.
Second reading House File number 2682.
Second reading.
Second reading House File 3392.
Second reading.
Second reading House File 4500.
Second reading.
Second reading House File 4597.
Second reading. Announcements. Representative Winkler.
Madam Speaker, I move that when the House adjourns today, it adjourns until 1:30 p.m. Wednesday, May 13th, 2020.
Representative Winkler moves that when the House adjourns today, it adjourns until 1:30 p.m. Wednesday, May 13th, 2020. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say no. The motion prevails. Representative Winkler.
Madam Speaker, I move that the House do now adjourn.
Representative Winkler moves that the House do now adjourn. All those in favor, please say aye. Those opposed, please say no. The motion prevails. The House stands adjourned until Wednesday, May 13th, 2020 at 1:30 p.m.